you know, that was Lawrence, the band. If you're listening to the show afterwards, of course, you're going to be like, what are you talking about, Jaffe? Yeah, that's a brother-sister band out of New York City. They're getting, slowly getting big. They had a top 40 hit this summer. Not that, but that's my favorite song from the album. And they were on the Tonight Show. And their dad is a somewhat successful movie director, which probably explains how they, I don't know, nepotism. Hey, man, if my dad was a famous this, that, or the other, I would... absolutely, I would utilize that. What do you mean, am I using a different mic? Is the mic really, really bad, or is it good, or what? Because I spent some time before the show adjusting it. Are you guys saying you can't hear me, or too loud, or blaring out, or what? Is it too loud? Is it maxed? I can pull the gain down. Let me know if you want me to pull the gain. I know it sounds louder, but is that good or bad? Everybody says fine. What about you, Bukaki? Come on now. As much as I think you're a stupid son of a bitch, I value your opinion. I hear what I called myself. You're a stupid son of a bitch. It's good. You guys are saying it's fine. Okay. Yeah, the song is really good, Kyler. The whole album's really good. It's so crazy because back when I was a young human, that would be something that would be absolutely massive on the radio. And now, bands like this, I'm sure they do fine given what, but they don't do the kind of the numbers they used to do, but it's good stuff. I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. I hope you had a nice time with the family. We did. I enjoyed it. Okay. Now Gun says the mic is muddy. I can't handle it anymore. Everybody else is saying it's fine. I'm going to go with you guys. It's okay, but it sounds like a bass or treble. Oh my God. Okay. I can turn the gain down. That's the only skill I have. Would you like me to turn the gain down, people watching the show? Because we got to get started. We got a lot going on here. So if we're going to have some technical difficulties, let's deal with them. It's fine. Now Brett Moore says, please, too much gain. I'm going to turn down a little bit of gain. Just a little bit. That's it. Let's move forward. Okay. If you don't know what you're watching, this is called the Jaffe stream. I do Gabbin' and Games, not every weekday, but I definitely stream something every weekday. But Monday through Friday is where you'll see Gabbin' and Games. Sometimes I do a morning prep stream, and now I'm starting to do these more called the Jaffe stream. These are shows that really, we can talk about video games and whatnot if you want to, and we will, I'm sure. But most of these shows are more loose. We'll respond to things. We'll take calls from you guys. We will talk about the news, politics, movies, weird fucking shit like all the UAPs appearing in the skies recently and the debunking of said weird UAPs. So that's kind of the shtick. So don't be like, Jaffe, where's the game show? It's still here on this channel. This is still primarily a games channel, but this is something that I like to do as well because people seem to like it and I like doing it. Andre Gallagher, thank you, buddy, for the first main chat of the day. He says Killer Frequency, it's on PS Plus right now. It's a first-person horror adventure where players control a DJ who acts as an impromptu radio dispatcher when a serial killer returns to terrorize the town's residents. Yeah, I've been wanting to play it for a while. It first launched on VR, and it is now out on PlayStation. I mean, it's on consoles, but you can get it for free on PS Plus and stuff like that. Hello, Jezbelly. You should react to Asmongold. Well, I mean, I could, but here's the weird thing about that. Real quickly. So, I really don't. I mean, I'm not an idiot. I'm not like, I don't know who that is. I'm not like going to play stupid. I'm very aware. He's obviously a huge streamer, huge video guy, whatever, huge influencer, whatever that title fits. And, but I don't really watch streamers over on Twitch. I don't like Twitch. And so I've only seen clips of his, like when people tweet him and stuff like that. And, so somebody yesterday on the Discord was like, Jaffe, Asmongold is talking about some of your video game Dragon Age stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, he's a pretty big streamer. Let me go see I'm curious what he has to say about my stuff. And, he didn't like it. And he didn't seem to like me all that much. But I think part of it was he felt that when I was talking about, grifter influencers affected the sales of Dragon Age. And it certainly, I wasn't saying that was, you see some of these comments I got, they're bone dry stupid, but I certainly wasn't saying that that was the only reason, and maybe not even the main reason, but it was a meaningful reason that that game failed to really connect with the number of people I think it should have connected with. I'm not saying it should have been, a top 10 selling game of the year, but regardless though, he was under the impression, as you watch his response to my videos, that I was kind of talking about him, but I wasn't wanting to say his name, because a handful of times he kept saying things like, oh, just say it. Just say my name. Just say my name. And I'm just like, dude, I'm watching his video or his response going, I was talking about Grums, man. I don't like Grums. I tried to make nice with Grums back in the day, and he seemed like a decent fella. And, but lately I've just had a real issue with the guy, and when in sort of his actions more so. And so I'm like, dude, I don't, all I really know about Asmongold is he's real popular. He's the guy that had spiders or roaches in his place. Clearly he makes a great deal of money and doesn't clean his place or hire someone to clean his place, but I think he has cleaned it up since. It's kind of all I know about him. And he's real popular. So, I wish I was as popular, or even a third, a fifth, an eighth as popular. I got no beef with the guy. Maybe I will. But I don't know him that well. And then he says, oh, Jaffe blocked me on Twitter. And I was like, what? I don't know this guy. But I went and he was right. He was blocked. Now, sometimes, like John Cena has me blocked on Twitter. I'm like, John Cena? The fuck are you talking about? I've never met John's. I've never run. The closest I've ever come to anyone who even knows John Cena is when I saw a WWE SmackDown live in San Diego, and he wasn't even there. Right. So sometimes Twitter just maybe does stuff, but maybe I also did block him. You guys in the chat, some of you guys in the chat don't seem to like him. So maybe he said something or tweeted something I found really offensive. And I'm like, I just don't want to see any of this guy's stuff on I have no idea. But anyway, so I won't be reacting to it. I mean, I did unblock him and I sent him a DM and I said, hey, I saw your video. It'd be great if you want to have a conversation about it. But again, this is one of the biggest game streamers in the world at the moment, right? So it's not like, I don't think he has any reason to want to reach out to me and go, yeah, Jaffe, I'll come on your little rinky-dink show. But, I offered it. And I also jumped on Vera Dark's show today. And because, anybody who knows me and knows my show, as much as I am very serious when it comes to, protecting people who are getting shit upon, or at least doing my best, a lot of this is theater, right? I don't really hate Vera Dark. I don't know Vera Dark. I think she has said some pretty nasty things about me, and I have said some pretty nasty things about her. But I jumped on her show today and I said, hey, Vera Dark, what up? I did it like that because that's what the ladies like. Look, I'm 53. I don't know what they like. They just like the bank account. I don't know what they like, but here's what I can tell you. And we had a little chat. She was very pleasant. I was very pleasant. And I said, hey, let's have a conversation. She says, great. I'll reach out to you tomorrow. She says, as long as you don't, personally attack me or we don't talk politics. And I'm like, well, I thought that was the whole thing. But she says, we can talk video games. That'll be cool. I said, great. So hopefully her and I will, chat a little bit. Whether you win or lose, says Benji, engagement is key. I feel like that statement works on multiple YouTube levels. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. I'll show you guys some of the comments. Some of these comments, man. Movie Maniac says, by the way, this is not one of them, but he says Asmongold is legit, but he was mistaken thinking you were talking about him, so wouldn't take his comments towards you seriously. I'm not taking his comments towards me seriously. I'm just like, man, he's got one of them fan bases that you kind of look at and you go, Jesus Christ, it's nice that you guys are supportive of someone you like, but fuck, relax, people. Relax the fucking hell. Relax the backstore. What? Wayne B says, to be fair, Jaffe, people submit content for Asmon to talk about on his Reddit, and I believe your video was one. You also said grifter streamer, and Grums does not stream. Oh, Grums does not stream. Yeah, and I even said to him, or I said to in a tweet, I said, you know, to me, streamer, grifter, streamer, influencer, video guy, I'm not in the, I mean, even though I do this, I'm not in the nuance of going, oh, right, Grum's not streamer. He makes videos and tweets, barely makes videos. It's all in the same bucket. But honestly, I was thinking more of Grums. I was thinking I would have to go look at my YouTube history of people I've looked at watching or streaming Veilguard. But that's, trust me, you won't find Asmongold on there. Okay. But yeah, we can look at some of the comments because they're fun. They're fun. He's not a grifter, Darth Nugget. Zach says to Darth Nugget, because he already has all the money he needs. He doesn't give a fuck. Vera Dark, on the other hand, ... I don't know. All I'm saying, whatever. Okay. To be fair, Jaffe, yeah, I already read that. Let me go down here. Let me jump down here real quick. Oh, look at that. We're getting comments from X now. God damn it. I called it X. Gross. Okay, look at this guy. Kikuriano says, I just commented on your Twitter, bro. Why don't you just, oh yeah, that's cool. I love that. I think it's cool that it does that. So now I'm getting comments from Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Okay. Hello, Goro. So60 says, this old man is full of shit. You know what's fascinating to me about this? Is and obviously you don't really notice it until you get older, but the amount of people that have tried to attack me, well, they have attacked me. I guess they thought it would land, but it's been more of an interesting anthropological experiment or observation going, there are people out there that will attack you on your age. Like they really like calling me, oh, you're old or grandpa, and I'm just like, do you realize? I mean, now look, let's be clear. If you offered me the ability to go back in time and have the physical body and the cells and all that I had when I was 22, 23, sure, that'd be great. But I wouldn't. You think older people want to be you guys? I don't know if you've had friends that have died. I know a lot of people who watch the stream have lost somebody that young, well before their time. You get to my age, you're grateful. You're like, shit, beats the alternative. But more than that, maybe more than that, but equally, I don't know where it sits in the pecking order, but related to that, you know so much more and you unclench so much more the older you get. I wouldn't want to be some fucking 22-year-old out there trying to hustle like a motherfucker and rise and grind and all that shit you guys talk about and giving a fuck about Zendaya coming back for the next season of Euphoria. I don't give a fuck. Give me Huey Lewis and fucking arcade machines and movies made by Spielberg and I'll be a happy fucking pig in shit. But I'll take the 22 body back. Yeah. Slay the Dragon wants you guys to know you're gay. It's not even you are gay or you're gay. He's a pirate. He must be a pirate. Where did he go? I want to put it up on the screen. What's his name? Slay the Dragon. Slay the Dragon wants y'all to know you're gay. First off, Slay the Dragon, I'm not a homosexual. But if I was a homosexual, is that bad? Why would that be bad? Let's have a conversation. Speaking of conversations, oh my God, I got to tell you guys something really interesting to me. But first, I want to put something up on the stream here. If you were interested in calling in and being part of the show, you don't have to be on camera. You can be on camera. I don't really care. And let's be clear. I've already opened the show with copyrighted music. Robbo says, old man Jaffe is more disturbing. I mean, distinguished. That's right. I'm already opening the show with copyright music. This will all be edited. You'll never see this as an actual stream fully. So I don't really care if, I would prefer not to see your penis or anything weird when you call in. But if I miss it, it's not going to do anything and you're not going to shock me because, I've seen Asmongold's penis and it's horrific. You see what I did? I said I liked him. I don't have a problem with him. And then I said, oh, his penis is terrible. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, there's the link. It'll be, in fact, let me put the link in the, on, if you're watching on YouTube, I will pin it to the top of the chat. And then if you're not watching on YouTube, just, if you want to call in, just hit me up and I'll do it. Your argument is she's not going to fuck you, bro. I don't expect much from you. What? That's my argument? Tell me you're not talking to me. Look at these CEOs, devs and game quote journalists, says Kikarino, like Melissa Benoist. Also, Sweet Baby Inc. Kim Belair, her mother's literally a Bolshevik Jew. Okay. I don't understand. Did I miss your follow-up? Twitter might be a little slow to coming in to the what's it called? To the Streamlabs. So is there a follow-up Kikaro, or I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're saying. Okay, cool. I'll bring you in one second. Jaffe, did you see the thing about Elon Musk claiming he's starting a game studio with AI? I did see that. I mean, look, I'm a fan of AI. I'm not a big Elon Musk fan. I have a video. I don't even know if I'm going to put it up, but I have a video about it. I talked about it yesterday, but Elon Musk, to me, is a great investor who has invested his money in some amazing shit that a lot of it's crazy and will never work, but some of it already has worked. And I think that's awesome. And I give him great props for that. And I love that there are people out there crazy enough to spend a lot of money on well, Jeff, that Rocco Mazzi, thank you, buddy. Welcome to the Cult Calypso. I appreciate you being here. That's very generous. That means you can hit us up this week on Thursday for Lunch with Jaffe. That's one of our member perks this week. We'll be doing Lunch with Jaffe. It's exactly what it sounds like. We sit around noon or whatever. I'll give you some details later on the Discord, and I give you some we talk and we play games and we shoot the shit. Thank you, buddy. Everybody who is capable of giving old Rockamazi a little emoticon of the most beautiful woman in the world, please give him that. Yeah, I know, Mr. K, it cuts out. I know. Okay, so so anyway, though, so Elon, I'm hit and miss on Elon Musk, right? But what I will tell you is I have a real problem with him, his behavior. I think he's really, in a lot of ways, he is like Trump, which is, for a guy in his position of power, whether he deserves to be there or not, whatever, that's a bigger debate, blah, blah, blah. But they're both in these positions of power, and both of them seem to handle that power really irresponsibly. And I understand that if you want to be make an alt handle and fuck around on the internet all day long, but the idea of being Elon Musk and, putting out a tweet, basically retweeting a guy, Grums, who has been known to tweet out false documents, knowingly or not, I don't know. And then basically knowingly, people are going to attack this poor developer. This poor fucking developer, Avowed, never did anything. They made some of the best RPGs in the business. They've done nothing but give gamers things that gamers so far have at worst just been like, oh, that was pretty good. And some of them have been goddamn classics. And now, because Elon or Grums, nobody knows what the pronouns in Avowed are. Do you select them? Is it just it shouldn't matter, but let's just assume in your brain it matters. You don't even know why it's there yet. And Elon's just like, don't care, gonna tweet it out and send the attack dogs on these developers that have just fucking video game developers, man. It's the richest man in the world, has the ear of the goddamn president-elect, talks to Putin at least, once every 2 weeks, according to the FBI. And this guy's gonna, shine the biggest spotlight in the world, which he happens to own, which is Twitter, on this fucking dev company, and we're gonna dogpile on him. I think that is some bad shit, man. I'm going to bring in Saru. Saru, how are you, sir? Am I saying your name right?
It's actually Saru. How are you doing, David?
Saru. I'm doing well. How are you? How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was great. Ate some great food. I got a chance to see the Bears do another Bears thing and
I don't know
lose.
I was going to ask you, because when I was a kid, the Bears were like the shit, but I'm from the 80s, right? So it was like they were the Super Bowl kings and everybody loved them. That's not the case anymore.
No, it's kind of like this up and down this of cycling through quarterback, cycling through management, cycling through coaches.
Yes.
Maybe we finally have something Caleb Williams, but we'll have to see moving forward with that, that team.
Well, I saw Auburn play today, which is my team, and I didn't even give a shit. That's how bad Auburn is. I'm like, oh, they're playing Alabama. Who gives it? The fact they scored 2 goals, I'm like, hey, that's good. Anyway, so what do you want to talk about, man?
All right, so I wanted to talk about recently. I used to watch videos religiously, but
my videos religiously.
Yes, I used to watch them. I used to really watch because when I learned who you were, I'm like, oh man, this guy, it's so cool because you very rarely do you see people from the gaming space, make content, and I always like listening to the insight of things I'm into, whether it be sports or gaming. So, not the same thing, but I like football, so I really like listening to Club Shay Shay. Shannon Sharp, he does a really good job of talking to these celebrities and talking about and getting insights on like football, and I always appreciate that, and I like how you give the insight, the gaming insight, and I have appreciated. I have been watching for a very long time.
Oh, well, thank you very much. This is the first time I've heard from you. Why is this the first? You never called in, you never write, but thank you for watching. Now you speak about it in past tense, so you make it like I done something wrong, which I probably have, but that's fine.
It wasn't that. It's just sometimes I just fall off the bus with certain people, and I just kind of don't keep up with watching the video.
Why did you fall off the bus?
You didn't do anything wrong.
Why did you fall off the bus with me? Why don't you love me anymore? Why do I not make you moist in the nether regions like I used to? What's happening?
Nothing. Just sometimes I just forget about certain people and I fall behind in their videos, and I have to keep up. Another person I like a lot is Brutal Moose. I used to, but fell off. Like there's a lot of people that I just kind of sometimes forget, and they just make. And then there's like new people that I'm watching. I'm watching pretty much everything they put out. And I'm like, yes, I love this guy.
That's cool.
One person recently is Gator 9, and this his name is.
I don't know a lot of these folks. But let me just say this. Let me just say this because the audience, man, I got to always watch the audience. And honestly, here's what they're saying. They're going, give a fuck who this guy watches. What does he want to talk about? So I got to balance being a nice guy. I got to balance being a nice guy to somebody who's been very supportive of the work I love to do, with the fact that I got an audience going, you fucking motherfucker, get to the point. So with all my love and my soul for you, let me say, you fucking motherfucker, get to the point. What do you want to talk about, buddy?
The Vera Dark situation and this whole entire anti-woke discourse. Vera Dark, oh boy. Maybe it's my, one thing as a kid I liked is doing research. Digging into some of these people. Vera Dark has been always one that constantly pops up, and I'm just sitting here like, why don't people see that she's just not that good? And it's not about her gender. It's not about her race. It's just that her content is very dry, very boring. She uses buzzwords. And if what I'm hearing is true about her, is that this dude is that she has someone write the stuff for her. So I'm just sitting here like, wow. And also she's engaged in a lot of dishonest practice, spread a number of lies from the Tells the Zoo situation, from the Bozeman 3 situation, from Lollipop Chainsaw entirely, just pretty much lie about all of Lollipop Chainsaw repop, to a point to where she outright ignored issues with the game, just to act like it's perfect, it's a great rematch, guys, it's great. It's just that this person is genuinely dishonest and commits yellow journalism on the daily. It's to a point to where, like, do people want actual news and facts, or do they just want to feel good?
Well, again, this is something that I have really struggled with, because I hope to be able to have a conversation with her in the very near future, because I want to ask her these questions, right? Because she said some things about me, and I don't attack somebody unprovoked. I mean, she came after me first, and I'm like, okay, well, fuck you. It's on, within reason. It's on with me making a video. It's like, oh, it's real on, Jaffe. You're fucking hardened criminal. But I want to give her the benefit of the doubt, but certainly that has been my initial impression of her, which is, and people in the chat, like this guy says, Jub comes in, says, I don't know anyone in this video. It's a stream, sir. But I heard this dude was calling women mental lightweights. No, because he disagreed with them. See, this is the problem I have. And I'm going to call you S, and it's going to feel like we're buddies, and you're going to like that, and it's going to endear me to you. But it's just because I don't want to mispronounce your name. But pretend it's the first one. S, this is the problem I have with these people, is that it's like the game of telephone you played when you were a kid. They will take something and it will be able to get twisted just a little bit until eventually it takes on a narrative that's not true, right? So this is what this Jubby says. Jubby says, I heard this dude was calling women mental lightweights. He's pluralizing it. I called Vera Dark a mental lightweight based on my experience with her videos about me and what I took as lack of research in her videos, right? That's why I said she was a mental lightweight. I didn't call women mental lightweights because women disagree with me. That's a ridiculous concept. But again, this is one of the things that I'm having to learn, which is how, when do you stand up and punch back metaphorically? Right. And when do you just let it go? And it's really tough. It's really tough to know. But anyway, somebody in the chat says you're from davidjaffe.biz. You were reading my shit back then. No, I think you just mean the videos, right? That was ages ago. Anyway, but yeah, so I'm going to speak with her hopefully, and we'll see what happens. But I fundamentally, I know what I want to tell you.
Go ahead.
Well, now you go now. I have ADD. I have to get better at conversation. So now it's your turn, S, to talk. Now you talk, S.
So another thing that I have always noticed with like this discourse of the anti-woke is the East versus West. Oh, man's kicking our asses. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh God, that gets on my nerves because I feel like it's just lying by omission and just kind of comparing apples to oranges. When I have to hear shit about Dustborn for the 15 billion time, I'm sitting here like, you mean any game with no marketing didn't sell that well? Color me surprised.
Right. Yeah,
Oh.
It's true. But I mean, I haven't played that game, but it does look pretty obnoxious in its, even though I agree probably with 95% of its politics. I'm the most progressive guy, I guarantee you. But I do find just like the bar scene in Dragon Age, which I love the game, but it's a terrible scene. It's stupid.
I tried to demo out of it. I was enjoying all the narrative stuff, and I'm like, hey, this game's kind of cool. And then the combat started, and I'm like, wah, wah, wah.
Right,
like,
exactly. The guy who directed it, let me see who directed it really quickly, because he's not a lightweight. I mean, he's done some stuff. The Dustborn, I think he's done the Dustborn creative director has he's made something that I was like, hey, that was a pretty good fucking game. Wasn't Dustborn, but it was Ranger Tornquist, I think his name is, and he has done so he did Dreamfall and The Longest Journey, so he's done like really cool PC adventure games. So all right, buddy. Well, thank you for calling in. Thank you for watching the show. Problem. I appreciate it. Call back anytime, buddy. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. There he goes. You too, sir. There he goes off into the evening, fellas. Tim Duncan says, Jaffe, you did suggest Vera Dark that her gender is her main talent. Well, I didn't say that, but what I said was she is in the chair. She has her audience because she is a relatively attractive woman. Her hair is awesome, and she's a woman. I'm not saying that is her main talent, but I do think that is why she has the audience she does. I don't think at least based on my experience with her. Now, I may talk to her because she wants to talk games, and she may blow me away with her encyclopedic knowledge of Metal Gear Solid or her ability to analyze the metaphoric, mechanical gameplay attributes of Call of Duty. I have no idea, because I don't know her other than the videos I've seen. But based on the videos I've seen, that seems to be, an analysis of why she probably has her audience. Absolutely. Joshua says resorting to personal insults, attacks, and discredits your entire argument. No, it doesn't. Joshua, because my entire argument is based on what I see. Her audience comes because of comes to her channel because of the way she looks. There may be other reasons, but that's why I said based on what I've seen and experienced of hers. That may not be the case. Okay, cool, man. But it doesn't, I can't invalidate my argument by basically using information that is my very argument. At least I don't think I can. Let me bring on, let me get a couple of chats and I'll bring on this Maddie Monted. Can't see his whole name. Guys, if someone is less intelligent, God damn it. Mr. K says, guys, if someone is less intelligent, that is relevant. It was obviously untrue. If it was obviously untrue, then yeah, it's a stupid argument, but not if he's correct. Right. Yeah. I mean, here's the deal, fellas. That's why people were like, Jaffe, I was doing Alex, Jaffe, you're a misogynist. And I'm like, a misogynist, you don't know the definition of misogynist. Misogyny would be somebody that feels all women are lesser for various reasons. They don't get the respect of the misogynist. They don't get the time. They don't think they're worthy, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing, but I want you to think about this for a minute. You guys on the other side of the aisle are supposed to be the alphas. Are you telling me that you're too afraid to call out someone for saying something that you feel is stupid or wrong or misguided or poorly phrased because they happen to be a woman? Well, I'm sorry, but that's horseshit. I don't care if she's a woman. What do I give a shit? That's not that, I don't care if she's a trans woman, of which I am a great ally, in my opinion. I can't say that, but I've been told I'm a great ally to the LGBT community. Great, as I want to be. But that doesn't mean there can't be awful trans women out there. So no. Okay. Fuck you, Bukaki Drive-By, you piece of shit. Let's bring in Maddie. Maddie how do I say your name? Montedero, yeah. What's going on, Matthew?
Not a lot, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. Let me tell you something. Don't worry about it. I was going to tell you like my weekend. Here's what I'll tell you. My kid comes into town, my oldest kid, my daughter, she brings her boyfriend. It's kind of cool when you can meet a boyfriend of your kid and you go, hey, I like that guy. He's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'm doing pretty good. But anyway, what's going on with you?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. I'm watching the OU LSU game. I heard you were an Auburn fan, I guess.
A little
bit ago.
Yeah. I am an
Auburn.
Auburn
You go to
fan.
Auburn?
No, my dad did, and we grew up as an Auburn family. But so that's kind of why. Yeah. But and Auburn is one of those weird teams that they are just lucky and or talented enough from time to time that you think, oh shit, here it comes. Now the worm is turning, and it never turns. It never turns.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Norman, Oklahoma, and so I ended up being an Oklahoma fan,
Right. Okay.
Thing. But
so what do you want to talk about? What's going on?
Football. Yeah, let's not talk about football. What I really called to talk about was the lack of some developers' lack of onboarding of games and
goddamn right.
I know with Dark Souls and things like that, it's let the player figure it out, and that works in some
certain games, yes.
But when I saw you trying to play Microsoft Flight Simulator, I'm like, there's no reason this game should have such any kind of learning curve just to get you to start flying.
That's right. That's right. And what's hard about that game is you don't even know what the bugs are and what the poor onboarding is in that game. But it's similar to Stalker 2. I'm loving Stalker 2.
Yeah, but you got over the hump on that.
And I get so frustrated at the gamers because it's again, I don't need to be their champion. I'm not out there fighting for the user or anything, but it is weird that it's dude, I'm trying, even with that whole Metroid thing, it's you can love Metroid all day long if you want, and that's great. But it had poor onboarding. There's lots of games that do, and game. I'm like, guys, if you really love Metroid, and they improve their onboarding, then you'll get more fans. And if there's more fans, there'll be more money and they'll make more sequels more frequently, but it's got to be like loving a band. And just because you have the inside skinny, when somebody comes along and doesn't get it, instead of like, well, I had to put up with all the shit to figure it out, you have to as well. That's the only thing I can think of, because there's a lot of bad onboarding in games. And I'll tell you something, I do think PS Plus, if it gets bigger, and Game Pass, if it's able to sustain the growth, which maybe it can, maybe it can't, we'll see with Indy and whatnot, that came from Call of Duty, I do think you are going to see developers start to recognize shit. Those opening 5, 10, 20, 60 minutes are way more crucial now.
Well, I don't think all the developers have the design chops to. I mean, that's one of the last things you develop, right? Is like the first, beginning of the game, and some developers have the chops to be like, all right, we'll give you this little experience to kind of figure out the controls and stuff, and then
Well, somebody in the chat, Morton Bob says, Jaffe, I feel compelled to point out that MS Flight Sim isn't a quote game. We all know it's not a game. It's irrelevant, man. Here's what you have to understand. You have to fall in love with flying in order to want to go up the hill. And you don't have to, but you're never going to really grow the audience. So ask yourself this. Microsoft Flight Sim comes out a couple of weeks after Call of Duty exploded the user base and the subscriber base for Game Pass. So there's all these people now pouring in to say, hey, what can I play after Call of Duty? Or I'm not going to play Call of Duty tonight. Microsoft Flight Sim. I've heard about this for years. The trailer looks amazing. Fuck it, I'll play it. The last thing you want to do is turn away people that could ultimately become huge fucking fans and customers. So I get that It's not, don't take away the hard stuff, but build in a shallow end of the swimming pool to see if people even want to fucking go swimming, is what I would say.
Well, you were like, well, where's Sky Odyssey? Where do I find Sky Odyssey at? And it's like, well, yeah, if he wants to fly a big plane in a beautiful location, why doesn't he just get to do that right away?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get all the goodies. I get that. I appreciate that. It's like, hey, you want to fucking fly the newest jumbo jet and you want to fly it over Vegas on New Year's Eve and see the fight, whatever. Cool, but you got to earn that shit. But you want to just fucking fly around and go, this is fucking awesome. Absolutely. All right, buddy. Thank you for the call, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, it was thank you for taking it.
Anytime.
You're a legend, man.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Okay, listen to this, fellas. I got a couple of things. Lean, who's got a little McConaughey avatar there. He says, hey, Dave, I hate all your content and your videos suck. I don't care, Lean, but I would care if you called in that I want to talk about it with you. I'd want to talk about it with you is what would make me happy. Let's bring in Frost. He's been waiting a little bit. Frost, wait a minute. Is this Frost of the Jack Frost family? It's getting to look a lot like
very well. How'd you know?
What do you think? Off the Wall or Thriller? Which one is the best Michael Jackson album? Go.
Oh, baby. Classic Thriller. Because you got a little Vincent.
You lucky fuck. You lucky fuck with that voice. Oh, you cocksucking mother. Yeah, you got a great fucking voice for this.
To it. It's fine. You get used to it, man.
I don't want to fuck you. I'm saying if I was like running a radio station.
You get used to it.
Yeah, but no, you don't get used to that. Like, how do you do? Hey, what's your name's Frost? Hey, it's Frost. You've got a radio name. It's Frost, man. It's Frost the Snowman driving you home tonight.
Frost is like the John of video games, bro.
That's the shit, baby. What's going on, Frost? What do you want to do?
Not too much. I got a question for you, right?
Yeah.
We're talking a bit woke, bit anti-woke. Now, the big slogan, make games great again. Well, you're an older gentleman. You're an elder. You're I'm a
fucking old fucking, I'll be dead soon.
Old fart. All right, we can be candid with it. And you were voted top 25 PlayStation 2 games of all times. Number 1, God of War. Number 9 was Twisted Metal Black, I believe. So make games great again. How far back are we going, Jess?
We're not going back. Games are amazing right now.
Amazing, you say?
Here, seriously, not even joking. Let's be serious because it's important to me. I love the art form.
We weren't being serious before. You don't.
Oh God, no! I was flirting up a fucking storm. I don't even like dudes that way, but that voice has me over the moon. Yes. I used to think this guy Bukaki Drive-By, who's one of our mods, had the best voice for this. Oh my God, you're fucked, Bukaki. But anyway, listen. I love the medium. I love the art form. And I absolutely get that if most of where you game these days, and a lot of people who watch my channel and stuff tend to be, because of my Sony background, they're PlayStation fans, they're console fans, all of that stuff, which is great. But even those games or those consoles have relatively great indie and AA ecosystems, right? So I would say this: if the comment is make AAA games great again, that's a different conversation. But in general, the medium, there is so much variety right now, and there is so much interesting chance taking happening at a design level, but you got to know where to look for it. You've got to go to itch.io, you've got to go to Steam, you've got to go to the indie sections of Xbox or PlayStation or the eShop on Nintendo. So are you talking AAA, or are you talking just games in general as a medium?
Let's go AAA. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the big boy at the table. What are the problems there?
Well, the problems there is that, let's kind of take Nintendo for a moment and move them off the discussion just for a brief second and say this, which is Sony got huge and Sony grew the audience because they brought a level of production value and conceptual ideas to games that were appealing to people outside of kind of the core nerd fan base, right? But there is a great financial cost that comes with that. And as people expect more and more, because they're like, hey, it's a PlayStation 6, it's a PlayStation 5 Pro, I want the best. Well, the cost goes through the fucking roof, right? Sean Layden, we've talked about this on the Gavin and Game Show. Layden has said for a while that who used to run Sony, if you don't know, 250 to 300 million gamers that actually really give a shit about console games. And that pie doesn't grow. It gets split differently every generation, depending on if it's Xbox, PlayStation's, Nintendo. But fundamentally, if you're not growing the pie, but you are growing the budgets, there's only so much you can start to do. And what has happened is they've become a lot more conservative in what they greenlight. They've become a lot more like, and they're not wrong. If you look at the top 10 games right now on PlayStation, it's Call of Duty, it's college football, it's Madden, it's FIFA soccer, it's Fortnite. Metaphor ReFantazio is not up there. Silent Hill 2 is not up there. Some of the best games of the year are not on that list, but there are some great AAA games this year. Silent Hill 2 is phenomenal. ReFantazio, what I've played, is phenomenal. Obviously, I like Outlaws, I like Dragon Age, but not everybody does, and that's fine. But there's probably 15 games. That Unicorn Overlord is phenomenal. There's probably 15 games most people can agree on that came out this year that are genuinely really fucking good at a AAA level. So I think a lot of it is negativity sells. I think a lot of it is games are more conservative because the cost have gone through the roof. And I think a part of it is gamers have to accept, just like people who love music or movies, if you're a real hardcore movie aficionado, it's not about going to see weekend. It's about searching out this weird fucking movie in the art house, or searching out this thing Netflix made that's only in theaters for a week because they want it to be able to compete in the Oscars, and then they pull it and put it on streaming. To spend the money to make really interesting shit, just like an indie band, just like an indie movie, you're not seeing that in the big box office anymore because it's too risky.
Too risky, playing it safe, trend chasing, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
What was the corporate structure like when you were working back in the day? I talked to developers on the flip side here and there.
What do you, be more specific? What do you mean?
So you get like a lot of the C-suite, middle management, a lot of I guess design by committee. Did they let you just do whatever you wanted? Did you have
mostly because the costs were not high? I mean, we made Twisted Metal 1 for $850,000, right? Twisted Metal 1's greenlight process was sitting around a table and marketing was there, and they just went around the table for people who had game ideas. They got to me. I said, I want to do this thing like Mad Max with cars in the city. Marketing looked at me and said, yep, greenlit. You got it. Right now, the number of hoops and all this stuff, and the number of people who have to have buy-in and contributions, because the money is batch. It's $400 million, man. So as the cost has gone up, more of the people, both in a good way and in an obnoxious political way, have come in, and they've kind of, made their presence known, and they're not always wrong. I mean, I get that. Let's put it this way. I get that people who would watch a show like mine, or who would listen to someone like Asmongold or whatever, would say, fuck Fortnite. I mean, I like Fortnite, but fuck Fortnite and fuck the, okay, that's fine. But what it's hard for a lot of these guys and girls to realize is you're not the mainstream anymore. You're just not. Fortnite sells, Roblox sells, and brings in money. Call of Duty sells and brings in money. It doesn't mean that God of War Ragnarok doesn't, or The Last of Us 2 doesn't. But the idea that if you guys would just fucking listen to us and make and do what we tell you, you guys would be fine. It's like, shut up, idiot. You know, it's not that's so arrogant. These are really smart people. You think these people who run Sony, and again, Microsoft's different because they're out of their fucking minds. But you think some of these people, they've got very creative, passionate people there. They want to make hits. They're trying their fucking best to make hits. I guarantee you, people. And now I'm not a big Dragon Age guy. I've only played Inquisitions, and the new one. But I will tell you that people say, oh, it was originally dark when they revealed the trailer at Keeley's show, like more of a dark Game of Thrones. And now it's more like Fortnite. I don't know why, but it wouldn't surprise me if EA is like, hey guys, you want that 180 million this is going to cost? Well, we're going to have to bring a new generation into Dragon Age, because the people that remember Dragon Age Inquisition 10 years ago, let alone Origins, are now, dealing with, changing baby diapers or sending their fucking kids to college. So we've got to keep this alive, so I just would, it's not that people don't have a right to be pissed off at things they don't like, but it's that mentality of like, you're just fucking stupid. Just fucking listen and just do what we say. It's shut up, you asshole. Shut up, you fucking arrogant asshole. That's why they work there and you're sitting at home keyboard warrioring. And again, I'm not saying that about all gamers, but the ones that act like that entitled, it's like, just shut the fuck up. Pisses me off because people are trying, man.
If I can catch you on that tangent there before we split part ways.
I'm sorry, if you can catch me on what?
If I can catch you on that tangent real quick of the
before
gamers
we part ways
before we part ways
forever. Have I left such a bad impression in your brain pan that this is it? This is like our one date.
I'm bad with commitments. I don't make friends that easy.
Well, why not? Why do you think that is, Frost? Let me ask you a question, then you can get your last tangent question. What's going on?
There's too many good people in this field. Too many in this industry. Here's the one thing, right?
Do you work in this industry? What industry are you in? Plumbing? I don't know who you are.
Yeah, I'm a contractor. That's what I do.
You're a plumbing. Well, there's a lot of good people. Do you know yesterday was Brown Friday? You ever heard of Brown Friday?
Brown Friday, is that like you shit yourself?
No,
you got listeria from the turkey.
It's a plumber. You see, I know you're lying to me because you're not a plumber. You're not a contractor. Plumbers have Brown Friday the day after Thanksgiving.
Dressed like me, man.
But it's not
a white collar plumber.
Listen, the ladies would love it. Can you imagine being like a hot plumber? You come in, you fix the shitter, and then they're like, all right.
Yeah, no, it's a setup to every
It's
porno.
great.
Yeah,
but let me tell you something, though. Seriously, Brown Friday is not what you think. Brown Friday was, people thought, oh, it's because people shit a lot because of Thanksgiving food. It's not that. It's that they put all kinds of shit, gravy, grease, oil, into their disposal, and it just sends up this brown gunk. And so most of what plumbers deal with on Brown Friday is the disposal. I bet you are glad you know that. What was your last question about my tangent?
Last question to the tangent, to the gamers that are saying, if you would just listen to us.
Yeah.
Well, they've been saying for the longest time, vote for their wallet.
Yeah.
Do the gamers, I mean, this is almost to hit a little bit of friction into your saying that all the negativity surrounding Dragon Age kind of cut into the sales a little bit. How much, though? How much do the gamers actually impact things? Because you have the CEOs and C-suites that are giving marching orders for some really kind of milquetoast game design, very wide appeal. You got Concord. Who asked for Concord? 25,000 units were sold. Like, how much?
Concord was a huge mistake, but I'm not sure. What are you asking me? How much of the responsibility of a failed game lies at the feet of someone that talks about it that has a large audience?
But let's give it a little spin, a little positive, right? Because I think both of us are cynical. And one of us has to be light here. So I'll be the good guy here. What can the gamers do to help aside from just positive marketing?
Help what?
Help the current state of the industry.
The industry's fine. That's what I'm saying.
That's good.
What are you? I mean, did you not have some games you loved this year at the AAA space?
Oh, tons. Oh man, and
what are your top 5 games?
I mean, you got your Balatro, obviously. You got your Power.
Well, that's not AAA. That's not AAA.
No, AAA. Oh, sorry. So it's AAA.
Only because you were sticking with AAA when you said let's stick with the AAA, right?
Yeah.
So did you like Silent Hill 2? Did you like Metaphor Refantasio? Did you like you like that?
Yeah, Metaphor. You got your Silent Hill that came out. What came out? Oh, shoot, honestly, I'm in the dumps, but I prefer my indies.
I do too. So so what I'm saying to you though is I would say this. And this is why people got mad at me when I said, "Oh, it's the grifters or whatever." I would love, if you love the medium like I do, like it seems like you're a big fan, you're playing indies and stuff, you're looking for the next interesting thing, which I would highly recommend a game called While We Wait Here. It's only 4 hours. It's $5 on Steam. One of the best games of the year. It's a weird as fuck horror game. It's excellent. But anyway, what I would say is this. I would say that if you've got somebody that you really trust and they talk mechanics and they talk gameplay and it's, and you can separate them being an entertainer from them actually going, look, I really want to give you information about this game, which is what, then I think that's fine. Then if they take a game down because of their review, I think that's fine. Because people who have said Dragon Age didn't do well because people were promised a tonally different game, a darker, more serious, mature game. People were promised a game with deeper combat mechanics. People were promised a game with better writing. I would absolutely agree with you that those are valid things to point out about that game, even though I really enjoy it, and say that could have affected the sales of the game. But a lot of the discourse, a lot of the clicks aren't about, let's talk about, is there a way they could have explained to new players that the veil and the fade are different things, or the fade is this, or the reason that Rook is seeing whatever that guy is. People get mad at me because I don't know his name. Sonuk, whatever the fucking elf bald guy.
I'm bad with names.
They're seeing that guy. It's not in his brain. It's in the fade. All that shit. I'm like, let's have that conversation. Well, you know it because you've been playing it since Origin. It's new to me for the most part. I played only Inquisition. So let's talk about that. Instead, it's like it's fucking LGBT shit shoved down her fucking throats. Look at Barv doing push-ups, doing a Barv, all this shit. And you can say that. I thought that scene was terrible too. But what it does is it perpetuates a sense that this is a product that is meant to have some agenda of some magical secret pizza place gate crap. And it's just like, dude, maybe it's just not well written. And EA didn't have the stones to really go, if we're going to spend this much money, we either need to go all in on the Fortnite art style and CW writing, or we need to say, you know what, guys, you don't have the budget, but we'll give you 120 million, go fucking crazy and give the fans exactly what they want. Those are good conversations to have because those are actually relevant and germane to the business and the creation process of making games. But don't tell me that there aren't grifters out there making a shit ton of money off lying, AKA being a grifter, by simply going, let me focus and put a magnifying glass on this small little part. I mean, if you really hate trans people, okay, fine. It's not a small little part. If you're really offended by having a trans person or a trans bull, monster, dragon, whatever that character is in your party, because that's what the character is. Okay, this is probably not for you. Just like if you don't like the Jews, you probably don't want to go watch Inglourious Bastards. Not,
Fucking hell, you're going to take us both down in the same.
You might be a little bit of an anti-Semite, but that. Let me just give you some advice. Don't go pay for a ticket for that. But short of that, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. So that's what I would say, Frost. Thanks for calling in, buddy. I appreciate it.
Sure thing, man. Thank you for having me.
Anytime, bud. See you, bud. All right. There goes Frost into the evening. Let us bring, did we already bring this guy on? Did we already have Maddie on? I think I already talked to Maddie, didn't I? Matt already talked to you, didn't I?
Yeah, you talked to me. We can talk.
Get the fuck out of here.
No, don't kick me off.
No, I gotta move on with the show. All right, buddy.
Give me 5 minutes.
No, I'm not giving you 5 minutes. If you want to hang on till later in the show and you're still there,
okay.
I'll bring you on again. All right. Let me get the super chat here. I don't want to leave it hanging. Yeah, I don't know who Frost is. You guys in the chat are like, dude, Frost and Jay. I have no idea who that guy is, but he's got a great fucking voice. Listen, man, Zag, thank you very much for the big super chat. First super chat, he says, I have a weird time schedule, but I want to support your channel. Here's money. Thank you, sir. Very generous, very courteous, very kind. Cantankerous Games, he who loves the war story part of the channel. He says, Frost, love your content. There you go. I don't know who he is, but love your content. There you go. This is like a DC Marvel crossover. Well, fuck, which one am I? Although these days I've gotten to enjoy DC more than I used to, so I'll take either. Ludo, coming all the way from the top of the Eiffel Tower, says, Jaffe, I took a DNA test for genealogy purposes. Why else would you take it? And I discovered I have a Jewish ancestry. Ha, 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 ha. And I'm not even joking. Shalom Aleichem. Why would you be joking? What do I care? L'chaim, I guess I would say. But thank you, buddy. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get Courtney on real quick, and then I'm going to go to the text chat, and then we're going to switch topics, and I want to show you some stuff that I found on the internet, if that's okay. Jaffe says, Funky Monk, let me get this first. Is it not more plausible that Veilguard's design just didn't appeal to casuals? I think fundamentally, Funky Monkey, the issue really, when it comes to that part of it, the visual design anyway, I think is what you're talking about. I think what you're talking about there is you can't have your cake and eat it too with that game. You're either making something that calls itself an RPG, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but it's really kind of just my first RPG, or you're going to go Baldur's Gate 3, right? You're going to either go all in or and I don't mind them straddling the fence. I enjoy it for various reasons that are my own, but I do think that the casuals are like, this looks like it's too hardcore for me. And the non-casuals are like, what the fuck is this baby game is what I imagine happened. One of the reasons, like I said, there's a handful of reasons this game didn't do well. It's not all the grifters, but it is some of the grifters. You goddamn right. Who do I got here? Courtney, what's up, bud?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Very, very good. How was your Thanksgiving?
I'm in New Zealand, bro, so we don't do Thanksgiving.
Oh, the Hobbit's doing.
Yeah, man, 11sies or whatever,
I don't know what any of that is, but I appreciate you calling back. Good to see you. What's up, bud?
No, I was just wondering. I have been thinking lately, because I'm a dad, got 2 young kids, full-time job, all that carry on. So I don't have time for like a 40 to 60 hour game.
Sure.
But like my favorite types of games back in the day were like the remake, like the Prince of Persia trilogy, things like that. About like 10 to 15 hours, single player. Is there room for that kind of stuff still?
Absolutely.
Like, personally,
but not
that's
at.
what I'm after.
Okay, well, hang on a second. So, what do you game on? What do you play on?
PC. I've got a gaming laptop and Xbox. So.
Okay, so I mean, I guess what I'm curious about is the fact that you're asking the question suggests that you are not aware of things like Steam or the indie section of Xbox, or because there are, and again, I love games like that as well. And so I'm like, and when you say Prince of Persia, you don't mean the 2D Prince of Persia, you mean the Sands of Time and stuff like that.
Yeah, Sands of Time, Warrior Within, Two Thrones, I think it
was. Yeah, I mean, you can get those games, new ones. I mean, like if you go to Steam, let me think right now, like something that like what came out.
My thing is, I'm thinking, would there be money in it for like, say, a team, 100 devs, 3 years,
no,
moderate budget? Like, no.
I don't. I mean, anything's possible, right? So if you get the license to something that's really hot, or you happen to get lucky, but you're not going to find a publisher that's going to spend the kind of money to fund 100+ devs for 3 years to make a 10-hour game that's a one and done, like Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. But the good news is you don't need a team that big, and you don't anymore, because it's become a lot easier with Unreal 5 and various off-the-shelf support tech to make something like that with a lot less risk. A good example, now, I don't know how big the team was that made a game called Evil West. Did you play Evil West?
Yeah, I did actually. I got decent way into that. I thought it wasn't bad. I didn't love the art style, but
okay. But Evil West is probably more what you're talking about. Yeah, right. Yeah. So I mean, Samurai Jack is a game that came out about 4 years ago. I know the art style looks like the cartoon, so if you're not into that, but it is like an 8 to 9 hour semi-open but still mostly linear experience that feels very much like those old games from like Xbox 360 era. I mean, I could send you a list off the top of my head, but those games are not out there, but they're not going to be the big AAAs coming from Sony at all or from Xbox at all, but they are absolutely out there and they're not that hard to find. There was another game. I wouldn't recommend it because it's too long, but it fits the bill in every other way, called Banishers, I think, which was from Delta Blood.
Yeah.
That was really fucking cool, man. It was very neat. The mechanics were neat. The monsters were cool.
It was quite well written in that, actually. Pretty solid. A little bit of like a God of War 2018 light, I would say.
Yeah, it just went on way too long. I couldn't.
They could have gutted like the middle 20 hours out of that, and it would have been.
Yeah, and then all the Resident Evil, the Capcom stuff, obviously, the Resident Evil series has the highest completion rate of any series out there. And a big part of it, I think, is because they don't overstay their welcome. They move just like an action movie. So all the Resident Evils, I assume you've played those, the remakes, which are excellent. And
yeah, because like my whole thing was like, I do know they're there, and like I do find them, but I'm like, are they economically viable at the moment? Because
they are economically viable at a certain budget, but they are not economically viable for the big AAA releases from big publishers. No.
Sweet, man. Thanks for that, David. I appreciate the time again.
All right. Good to talk to you, buddy. Right. If I come across any of those and I see you online, I'll let you know. Cause I love games like that too. I see a lot of people in the gaming sphere that are like, oh my God, I want those Xbox 360 day games or the PS3 games. And so if I see any, I'll make a list and I'll tweet it out, because I know you're not the only one that's looking for that kind of stuff. So, all right, buddy. Thanks for calling. All right, there he goes. There he goes, fellas. He's off. He is off. Let me get to some text, then I'll bring these calls in. Let me bring this chat down here. Mr. Stabby says, this dude is clueless. You talking about Courtney Williams? He will break you in half. You talking about me? I will hire Courtney Williams to break you in half. What about Hellblade and Spider-Man Miles Morales? Matthew says, Hellblade, I think's not a very good game. But Spider-Man, but obviously it's open world. So it's a question of how much but I think he's talking about something, when you've got kids and stuff, one of the problems with these big giant games, even though you can just kind of go, well, just take the main path and follow that and don't worry about all the other stuff, is that then it kind of puts it on you to deal with your own obsession with collecting and completing things. And I don't think it's the gamer's job to find the fun. I've never liked that, where it's like, well, if you're getting bored of the Spider-Man game, just don't play all the side quests. I'm like, dude, they're there. They put them there. I can't just not play them. Some people can, but I can't do it. I can't fucking do it. Stellar Blade, I've only played a little bit, but I think that might fit the bill a little bit as well. Okay. One guy in the chat, Prince Green, says, thank you, buddy. He says, check out Sifu, the new Prince of Persia. It's 2D though, but obviously Uncharted. I think Days Gone would be too big of what he's looking for, because he's kind of looking for, sounds like he's looking for like a 8 to 15 hour experience is what's going on there. Okay. Let me bring in a Morton. Hello, is this a Morton Bob? Is this the one that says to me, hey, you son of a bitch? It's not a game. It's a flight sim.
I would never.
Okay. What's up?
Hey, so I wanted to talk to you about sort of the wokeness in games and how I feel you're treating it somewhat incorrectly.
Okay.
So I'd like to disagree with you as polite as I can.
That's a you thing.
That's fair enough. So I think when I see a game, something like Dragon Age, what I see is something that's there that's unnecessary. Okay. And to me, that sort of.
Well, can you articulate that? What is unnecessary? Are you talking about something specific in the game, or you mean the game to exist at all is unnecessary?
No. So to address something like the trans issue in that game seems unnecessary to me, as it's a fantasy, right? So it just doesn't. To me, it doesn't make sense. In a world where magic exists.
Yes.
Where you could conceivably magic yourself to the other side, as opposed to having these surgical alterations like we have in our world. It seems to me like it's bringing our world directly into this fantasy world and sort of breaking immersion.
But you understand though that argument is inherently anti-trans, correct?
I disagree.
Well, can I tell you why you're wrong to disagree?
Absolutely. I'd love to.
All right. So how much have you played of Dragon Age?
I played 0.
Okay. Let's pretend you've played it and you know what you're talking about.
Sure.
So let's assume you've played it. There's a character who's a necromancer watcher, I think is what they call him, who visually looks a hell of a lot older than any of the other characters. Like if you were to lock that guy down and say the main character, I mean, you can let main character aside because you can make your own character, but let's say the elf or gnome or whatever, not the elf, the gnome lady who's the archer or whatever. People are like, you don't even fucking know her name. No, I don't, you fucking motherfucker. I've touched a vagina before. Shut the fuck up. But she looks about 28, 29, right? The other character who is the woman that has like the staff and does magic shit, I don't know her name. She looks about 32, whatever. This guy looks about 65. Okay. Well, it's fantasy. This is a guy who can raise the dead. He can talk to the dead. Why does he have to get old? Why, if you can do magic in this world, why isn't everybody as strong? Like that mage, why that guy who can raise the dead is great with magic, but he may not be that great with melee combat. Well, that's ridiculous. He's a fucking magician. He's got all these powers. He lives in a world of magic. Why can't he just be like as big as the Rock, but as mentally smart as, Einstein when it comes to or Gandalf when it comes to being a wizard? So I don't think you're wrong if you're telling a story about this is a world like Logan's Run, where everybody in the world has either magically or genetically somehow or sexually breeded out what we consider, quote, not acceptable. And that's part of the narrative. But if you're going to go and say it's a fantasy, they can do anything. My issue with the trans thing is, why would you have scars? It's like, okay, well, maybe, but then why aren't you complaining about the 50 other things that don't make any sense that are from our world that fantasy could also fix?
Well, I certainly would. And
but you're not.
So, well, I'm not in this particular context.
Okay, so you agree having a character that presents as old in Dragon Age Veilguard is just as dumb as having a trans character with scars?
I would say that sorry, you admittedly have me in a box here.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's good to be in a box sometimes. Nothing's wrong with being in a box if you should be in the box. Then question, why am I in the box? Why is my thinking put me in the box?
And that's fair enough. But I don't disagree that is an inherently anti-trans argument.
Well, it's anti-trans because you're picking and choosing the things that you want magic to get out of your sight.
No, what I'm saying is that it seems to me a stretch in a world where we have a fantastical setup that we have somehow our world inserted into this, and in particular, topical political issues.
Okay, but let
me say this: it feels a bit on the nose.
Oh, the writing's terrible. I agree with that.
So,
you're talking about something different. Than this is the problem I have with a lot of these conversations, which is just be okay talking about what you're really talking about, right? Because is it poorly written? Is it on the nose? In my opinion, with the money they spent, should an EA executive or even the director ideally sat down and said, look, I know this team is very progressive. And I know they want to move the ball towards acceptance of things that they find normalized, but a lot of people in our culture might find problematic for reasons that baffle me other than, media marketing, but it's a different conversation. I get that. And in that, you guys need to be better writers. And if you can't do it, we'll hire someone. But you don't get to make a movie like, there's a reason that Ricky Ricardo and Lucy Ricardo slept in separate beds. Everybody knew they were fucking. Everybody knew they were hot and heavy for each other, but they knew if we actually put that out there, we're going to be in a shitstorm, because the culture at large that we need to finance our shit is not ready for that yet. So, and that sucks. And that's really, as a guy with a trans son, it sucks that society hasn't gotten to the point where they look at him just like anybody else and go, hey, he's living his life doing the best he can. But that's where we're at. And so if you're in business, you should probably look at the situation and go, yes, we can do these things, and we're not going to be, little terrified people about it. We're not going to queer code everything that you want to queer code, but we're not going to be as overt, right? I do think that's a real discussion to have about the value of doing that in a game like this. But instead, the conversation doesn't get to be that nuanced, because it took us a couple of minutes to get to the real issue here. And most people are just like, no, they're just shoving it down our throats, and we don't want that, and Trump won. And it's like, dude, that's not even what we're talking about. So,
well, if there's one thing I'd like to do, maybe get you kind of on my side of the fence a little bit in this regard, which is, I feel like in a world where fantasy is escapism, it
can be. It doesn't always have to be, but sure, if you enter into enter into it with that assumption and you just want to escape, continue.
I would, I agree with you. I think I've heard what you said before, and I've said this about sci-fi as well, is it sort of provides a sandbox to explore sort of modern ideas, sort of divorced from the real world.
It does, but I would appreciate it out of respect for you and your conversation. I was reading something that came across my screen that said, I'm just stopping by to say hi. You're a flaming piece of shit, Jaffe. Hope you're done. And that distracted me for a minute. So could you please do that again about sci-fi?
Yeah. So I think that one thing that sci-fi does well is it takes a real issue and it puts it sort of in a sandbox.
Oh, yes.
Divorced from a real world, and lets you play with that idea in a different context, right?
Yes, but let me ask you a question first. Do you think that is always a conscious thing on the part of the viewer? Like, a lot of times horror hits because it's about something, but we don't really, it's not so on the nose.
I think it entirely depends on the writer.
Okay.
Tolkien said explicitly that he despises allegory. I wouldn't be able to tell you what Frank Herbert said about Dune.
Okay.
But I do think that Dune is one of those examples. So,
and I think as is Tolkien, whether he intends it to be or not, it's hard to sort of avoid the anti-capitalist overtones of that book. But sure, he may not have intended it, but shit, a lot of things people don't intend still land. But okay, continue. Yes, I think sci-fi does that. Are you saying fantasy can't?
I'm not saying that fantasy can't. I'm saying that fantasy, in my experience, typically doesn't.
Okay. And so you're saying this caught you surprised because you're not used to fantasy reflecting a metaphor for a political hot spot or a hot button issue?
What I take offense to, in particular in games, because again, I'll admit up front that I haven't played Dragon Age, is when I go to play a game for these escapist reasons, and here it pops up again in front of me. And so,
but why? Okay, so let me ask you. So the trans thing in Dragon Age, when it pops up in front of you, what is it you need to escape? A character who happens to be trans? Is it just the fact that you're reminded that trans folks exist, or it's more about the fact that it was put in there by somebody because they felt now is the time, because they are trans or they are a trans ally, to begin to sort of go, look, these people deserve a seat at the table just like anyone else? Or, why a trans character versus any other character? What is it about the trans character that pops you out of the experience?
None of the above. I would just say all it is just a reminder of our current political climate, and which is the precise reason I'm playing a game.
What is the last game you've played that you've really loved?
Last game, Bolt Gun, Warhammer Bolt Gun.
Okay, so Warhammer Bolt Gun, the whole fascist take on Warhammer, which is pretty much what it is, and Bolt Gun's a great game, by the way, that doesn't remind you of the far-right fascism that seems to be spreading across the globe? I don't mean America. I'm not talking Trump. That's a different conversation. But why would that not be triggering? Is it because you agree with it?
Because it just doesn't. Because I think that's unfair.
No. It's not unfair. I'm not saying that like you're a loser because you agree. I'm not saying you agree with fascism. I'm saying, is it less of a round square or a round peg in a square hole because it doesn't push up against what you consider. Like, you may not consider the government, the far right government that may be voted in France or something, fascist. And in that, you're like, yeah, they're pretty far right wing, but they're not fascist. So it doesn't ping your brain in that way, is what I'm asking.
Well, I would say it's because it's so divorced from. It does satire well enough that it pulls far enough back, and it has its own universe that it sort of it insulates itself from that, I think. But
Dragon Age with the dragons doesn't.
Well, I mean, you said yourself, it's like you felt it was CW level writing.
In terms of quality, it's not about going to high school.
Sure. But, quality writing is one of the things that helps immersion, right? So,
I mean, you could write a great book about, 2 8-year-olds sitting in a sandbox, and it could be, if you're a good enough writer, you'd be like, fuck, that was a good fucking book.
And to your point, it's entirely possible that if they had done this in a subtle enough manner, I may not have noticed.
Right. And honestly, I think, as much as I hate it, like if I was an executive and I had a team that wanted to do what they did with Veilguard, I would say, guys, we're not in that business, but art does need to reflect the changing times if the artists want to, and let's do it. Let's own it. But let's also recognize and respect the fact that, we got to be a little allegorical here. I mean, the #1 movie in the world right now is Wicked. Wicked is very coded. It's very queer coded. It's very black coded in terms of racism and the othering of people that don't look like you do, but it doesn't wear it on its sleeve. And that's sometimes how you got to get the ball down the field versus having the game called, because it's like, you know what, this thing's, it's too much of a fucking tinderbox right now. I think if you are the executive at EA, that's the guy or girl who needs to be blamed, because they're minding the store. And you can love the progressive agenda like I do, but you can also recognize that to do business since the very beginning, it's not, you don't shove it into the art. The whole point of it being art is it's got to seep its way in, and it's got to sort of affect you if it does. Some people may never be moved by the art, and that's okay. But if you are prone to be influenced by, like, hey, you know what? I can't believe I was othering this person just because they were different, or they freaked me out a little bit because they were so weird to me. I think that's how art works, man.
Would you agree with this question? Or let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Would you agree that it is more likely that if a message comes off as ham-fisted and didactic, that it is more jarring to the person experiencing it?
Oh, fuck yeah.
And so I think we are on the same side of the fence in that I just don't want to be preached to.
Of course, it's bad. It is bad writing. There's nothing in that scene. Have you seen the scene about the push-ups?
I did see the scene with the push-ups.
There's nothing about that scene at a subtextual level I agree with. I disagree with. But there's nothing about that scene at a execution level I agree with.
And
it is
I actually
terribly, stupidly, embarrassingly written, performed. It should have been like, guys, really? It's like an after-school special from the 80s that I grew up with. It's like, you shouldn't do drugs. Why not? Because drugs are bad. Hey, thanks, Dad. I never thought about it that way. I mean, it's junk. It's junk.
Yeah. And my experience with putting my foot in my putting my foot in my mouth and misgendering someone, we were able to come to a meeting, hug it out, and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't the struggle session and all that kind of thing. So I do think that an image like that, it does portray something that just is so. It's like, come on, guys, this is not how people work.
No. But I mean, that again, just bad writing. And I don't think all the game. Here's what I think about it. And I'm going to let you go because other people want to talk, and I appreciate you calling in. I've enjoyed our conversation. I hope you and the audience has as well. But what I'll say is, I'm not going to throw the whole game under the bus though, like a lot of people, because there's some terrible writing in it. There's some stupid tonal writing in it, but there's also some cool stuff, man. I've read Lord of the Rings. I've read Dune. I came up with fantasy shit. Not even Lord of the Rings, Dragon Slayer and Clash the fucking Titans and all that Sword and the Sword. I love this shit. And there's some cool stuff in the game. It's not all just utterly fucking crap. And that it's just, you can't have a nuanced discussion. And it bothers me because I do love the medium. I adore this fucking medium. It's insanely powerful if we can get our shit together. So you get the last word. Go, buddy.
Hey, man, I'm a big God of War fan. You're the reason I buy PlayStation these days.
Oh man, that's kind.
Thanks again.
On behalf of all of us who made it, you're welcome. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, there he goes, fellas. Off into the evening. Let me get some of these fun comments. Where did it go? I like this one. I like this one over here. Come on now. I can't find it anymore. So Kill Me says, this is what I'm saying. Now, you guys have to understand, because I do a show, I'm aware that there are people that troll. What I can't do is determine every time who the best or worst troll is. Like, okay, that guy's trolling. So it allows me to create content. So if Kill Me is like some 14-year-old guy sitting there with his cousin, it's like, he went on school break and I fuck with this old fuck. Yeah, you got me, haha. But I'm going to use this now as content to stretch the stream out, make more ad money, and maybe even clip it if we get somewhere good. So we both win, Kill Me. But I'm going to take him serious. He says, so Jaffe, what you're saying to Bob there is people should physically repent for misgendering a person. Is that the subtext you agree with? No. But that's the problem with people like you, is that you are not open-minded enough. You are so cocked and loaded and cocked. I don't know how guns work. I'm a beta cuck, remember? You are so ready and poised to attack that you really do this thing where you shut down everything but the lizard brain part that wants to attack. No, I don't agree with that subtext, but you asking the question that way, instead of allowing us to have an actual conversation about it, all you do is put me on the offense. Okay. But let me give you the benefit of the doubt, because you're probably stupid, and answer your condescending, obnoxious question. People should physically repent for misgendering a person, Jaffe, like doing push-ups in the scene. Is that the subtext you agree with? Nope, it's not. Here's the subtext. Hey, man, there are people out there that, for reasons that, guess what, you can't fathom. Guess what? As the dad of a trans kid, I can't fathom. Guess what? Most of them can't fathom, right? It's not as simple as you want it to be. Oh, you got a dick or you got a vagina. Boom, bang. That's what it is. I'm Kill Me. It's not that. There's all these markers and there's internalized aspects of biology. Let's just say it's not as simple as you wish it were. Just like I'm sure when you were born and your parents took one look at you and said, we'd like to throw them in the trash bin. It's not that simple. It's hard to do that with a baby, especially when you're in a hospital. But have you seen what he looks like? He's going to be ugly and dumb. Okay, but let's just move past that because we like each other. Kill Me. Kill Me says, no, here's the subtext. People who are trans or any kind of other that society doesn't embrace just because, hey, you got lucky, you rolled an 18 on quote normal. They don't always present to the world as the gender they identify with. Okay. And so it is possible. I've misgendered people before. Never to be mean, but because, if I look at someone and they present to me and I haven't sort of known them enough to go, oh, no, that individual is a trans woman, then I may call that trans woman a he. And then I'm sorry, her, right? The subtext is, hey, just be aware that sometimes it's hard to tell, or sometimes you think but when you misgender someone, you don't have to do push-ups. You certainly don't have to go to jail. No one in their right mind is proposing a law, at least in America, but you should know that can be hurtful, and maybe think about it a little bit and don't be an asshole. That's the subtext. Is that asking too much? For some of you guys, it is. All right. There's your answer, you condescending cocksucking piece of shit. Let's get your obnoxiousness off the screen. Or if you want to call in. Okay. As hurtful, satirical says as saying someone's parents said they were ugly. Okay, here's the difference. Are we doing this? No, we're not. I want to calm down. I don't have a picture of him. I'm not actually judging him on his looks. It was a joke meant to basically jab back at his condescending attitude. Come on, man. Gun yeah, says, why has Twitch chat been subscriber only for the past 4 months? No reason. I just, remind me over on Discord. I'll fix it next time. It's not intended. It's not intended. Okay, let me bring in Jeremy. What's up, Jeremy? Jeremy, you there, boy? Boy, where are you at? Okay, you're on the show if you want to talk. Otherwise, don't worry about it. But you are on the show, so do with that what you will, pal. He's like, Mom, I'm on the show. I'm gonna show him my butt. What? Ravenous, it's not that I don't want to talk to you. I've talked to you a bunch. I'll bring you on. You're in the queue. I'm not going to bring on Matt right now, but he knows he's got to wait. Okay, I'll bring on. Let me bring on Ravenous real quick. What was that guy? Jeremy? If you all right, let me hang on. Jeremy, you there, bud? Okay, Ravenous, here we go. Ravenous, what's going on, man?
Hey, so I got Star Wars Outlaws.
Okay.
And the first day I played about 2.5 hours. Kind of
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm not really digging this.
Yep.
Played more today. I don't know why this game is so fucking fun.
Yeah, it's great.
It's got so many elements that are done really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other stuff that is just so poor. And
like what?
It's like the stealth is just very not like, especially because it's an Ubisoft game. I mean, Assassin's Creed stealths, they have tons of games that are based on stealth, and for some reason the stealth in Star Wars Outlaws is not clunky. It's just very, I don't know how to explain
basic.
it. Just,
I mean, compared to a game,
basic and not well done. It's hard to tell what you're doing wrong or right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Klepto says, didn't they patch out the stealth? They didn't patch it out. They made it a lot less punishing, and they also made it so almost all, if not all, I don't know, of the original missions where if you failed stealth, it was a fail condition. They just let you fight. They just let you fight your way out of it. So yeah, and this is what I say about that, and I say about Dragon Age, which is it's like. And I get it. A lot of people, I'm very fortunate. I can buy pretty much anything I want. It's not like I can only get a couple games a year. And so look, if you can only get a couple of $70 games or money's tight and you want it to be the very best of the best, this ain't it. No. Star Wars Outlaws ain't it. And Dragon Age ain't it. But if you are like, to me, both of these games feel like, those movies that come out before the big summer movies, you go catch it on a Sunday afternoon, spring matinee, and you're like, hey, that was really fun. I had a really good time with that, right? I love K-Vess. I love Nyx. I love the robot character, which you may not have gotten to yet in the game.
Not, yeah.
Is it a perfect game? No, but it's got a lot of heart, and it kept me engaged the whole time. And I like it a lot. And again, let me ask you this, because one of the reasons, and I will blame again the grifters with this game, which is there's a lot of people that will say this is a woke game. Now, I've played the entire game and I'm almost done with the DLC. And I'm going, are there a couple of times that you happen upon a merchant that is a woman that says, oh, I have to go home and see my wife? So, oh no, it's a lesbian. But short of that, I don't know what they're talking about. Now, K-Vess, I get, was modeled after a woman that is much prettier than K-Vess.
Yes.
But you're 4 hours in or so. She's real likable, right? I mean, there's nothing. She's cute and she's got plunky fucking weird spirit.
The K thing is weird. They made her not look like her motion capture and voice actress. They're the same person, which I get. I sort of, maybe not. I don't know. But in the cutscenes, there's times where it's like, okay, she looks fine. They just made her face is a little whiter, and she has very, very, very pronounced cheekbones, and she has like a little snubby nose, which is fine because real people have that. In fact,
And she's not some, and she's not, she's cute. She's like, I mean, seriously, most of these guys bitching about the way she looks. I'd be like, are you kidding me? She's awesome. I wouldn't turn Kay Vest down if she approached me at a bar.
There's guys that
especially if she brought Nyx with her, am I right? Because that's weird, and I'm weird.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think she's like hot in the game, but she's not like a total like, oh, they obviously made her look super Dove Initiative looking. You know what I mean? No, not at all.
Absolutely, 100%.
She's a normal looking woman,
and she won my heart when she's climbing up a rope in the game. And then Nyx comes up and gets on her back. Nyx, if you don't know, is like her little weird gremlin pet, super cute little thing. And she's just like, she's in the middle of this firefight, but she takes the time to go, hey, buddy, like you do when your dog greets you at the door after a long day at work. It's just really sweet heart to this character. And so anyway, the point is I asked people,
well, what's naive? She's a little, my biggest complaint with her character is she's this smuggler who just seems like the biggest fuck up in the galaxy.
Well, yeah,
like,
she's
like, she doesn't really know how to do anything other than pick a lock at first, which she can't even do because her lockpick thing is broken.
All that pays off though. And I'm not going to ruin it for you, but I mean, she's a good character. She's an enjoyable character, man. But anyway,
you know what it feels like? You know what the game feels like? For people in the chat that are watching, imagine like when you're kind of pretty much done with the story in GTA, but you still want to just fuck around the world.
Yes.
I am having a blast just fucking around, purposely messing with stormtroopers, trying to see how high I can get my alert and just fuck with the Empire.
Anyone who watches my channel knows I barely finish games. The fact that I finished this game and then I went back to fuck around for a while, and then I resubscribed to Ubisoft Plus just so I could play the DLC. Yeah, it's fun. It's in my top 3 games of the year. I get that it won't be but it may not be the DICE Awards or the Keeley Awards game of the year. I don't care. I'm having a good time with it, man. So, and I'm a kid who came up with Star Wars, and I loved Star Wars.
Same.
So it really does give you that fantasy better than any other Star Wars game. It's not the best Star Wars game necessarily, but the idea of, oh my God, I'm living in the Star Wars world of the movies. What a great achievement this game offers. It's great.
Yeah. I just like it because there's a lot of freedom.
I agree.
And I guess they fixed the combat a lot because I'm getting my ass kicked. Whereas I saw people online just running around punching entire battalions of stormtroopers. And I tried that. No.
Gotcha.
They just blast you. All right.
I'm playing a high level. She's kind of got all of her gear now, so it doesn't bother me. But yeah, if I started from scratch, that could be me too. All right, buddy. Talk to you later. Funky Crunch, I want to address this because it's dumb. And I like addressing dumb people because it makes me feel smart. He says, using the term grifters in a discussion instantly undermines your credibility. It suggests you can't construct a solid argument to explain why the individuals in question deserve that label. Funky Crunch, I'm going to give you a chance here. Maybe you're not attacking me, but it sounds like you might be because I do use the term in this very stream. Are you suggesting I've used the term grifter and I am not capable of applying a solid argument to explain why that person deserves that label? If you are, please let me know what I said. And I will allow you to hear me explain why I'm using that term. All right. Thanks, pal. Thanks, Funky Crunch, Marky Mark. Okay, let's try. We'll get Vera Dark fan on in a second, but let's get Jeremy back, see if it's working for him now. Jeremy, it's Jaffe. What's up? Jeremy. Maybe it's you're listening to the show on your computer, and so there's a delay, Jeremy. I'll give you a few seconds, but the delay's not that bad. So Jeremy, why don't you care for me? You call my show, you go real quiet. So I'm bringing on Vera Dark fan. Vera Dark fan, how are you, champ? It's Jaffe. What's up?
I'm good. It's P Turtle.
Oh, shit. You gotta. This is beneath you, P Turtle. It's beneath.
It's the only way let me in. Otherwise, people are gonna
right.
have to pay, or I gotta wait till
Go
the
ahead.
end of the show.
Go ahead. What do you want to talk about?
Can I say 4 things really quick? 3 of them really quick. One of them's the conversation.
I don't know.
Okay, real quick though. I just want to say, yeah, real quick. I just want to say to Ravnos that if you're gonna call in and you want people to actually care about what you're talking about with this kind of stream, nobody wants to talk about that stupid Star Wars game. That was last month. Like, bring up something interesting like what I'm about to talk about. I want to finish telling you why what you were saying yesterday was wrong about the blacks. Because I was getting attacked all day on my PlayStation. I had people find me on Xbox. They messaged me all over Twitter. And I want to come with the facts. And you never let me actually finish.
Well, you remind people, because I don't know what you're talking about.
Yesterday when I called in and I was talking about the problem with blacks in this country.
Oh, I wasn't listening to you. What did you say?
So I gave you a rundown about them having the low IQs, and then you asked me about, well, what do you think the issue is with them, right? Why do they do not so well in this country?
Well, wait a minute. Let's be clear. Represent me properly. I didn't agree with you that blacks have
I didn't say you agreed. I said you asked me.
If you believe blacks have IQs and they don't do well in this country, I said, explain to me why you think that is.
It's not about why I think, it's a fact. You can look it up. And we looked it up yesterday.
Continue.
So them and Hispanics were the lowest. But anyway, the other problem we brought up, classism, right? That was one of the issues. The other issue we didn't get to talk about because you got me out of there was culture. Culture is a big problem. Black culture is degenerate culture. Let me ask you something, Jaffe. Can you tell me one good thing about black culture?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, specifically, like if I were to look at the writing of Maya Angelou, that's part of black culture.
Oh my God. Okay.
Well, you got to be specific. I mean, what do you mean?
What do they contribute? What's good about black culture? It's certainly not the music.
Jazz. How about jazz? How about
okay, that's older. If you want
blues and rock, how about hip hop?
I should have specified. I was talking about
hip hop and rap. Is not old. Okay, hip hop and rap.
Okay, we could talk about that. Hip hop and rap is destroying that community, and it's a part of the degenerate culture.
But do you understand the ignorance of your statement? You know nothing about hip hop and rap if you say that. That's like saying
that's an ignorant statement.
It's not an ignorant statement because you are attributing aspects of chosen lyrics and saying that is you're saying that is some kind of accusation of negativity put upon a medium. You can make a rap song about anything in the fucking world. You think parents just don't understand is contributing to the downfall of culture?
Fair enough. Can you let me break this down real quick? Just give me 20 seconds to break this down.
Yes, break it down by using break it down, which comes out of hip hop culture.
When hip hop first started, it was about rhythm, beats. You were basically not even rapping about anything. You were just making cool sounds. And then it became about social issues, right? About what was going on in the black community. Okay, fine. Gets a little worse. And then it becomes gangster rap. And incrementally, it starts to get worse and worse. Then what happens after gangster rap? You get, it goes from selling drugs to taking drugs. So now you start seeing a bunch of the community taking drugs, being depressed, dying, they're drinking lean. And now we're at a point where it's drill rap. And do you know what drill rap is?
I'm sorry, what rap?
Drill rap? Never
heard of it.
Of course not, because you're stupid. So let me explain it for you. Drill rap now is the next thing. It's the current thing where they don't get actors like Tupac anymore to pretend to be gangster, even though Tupac got beat up by Michael Jackson. He's not a tough guy. He's a gay theater guy, if you know anything about him. And these rappers today actually kill people and then make the music about who they killed. And you have feds that watch and listen to the music now.
Stop. Your voice is bothering me. Stop for a minute.
Oh my God, racist.
Why is it racist?
Because I'm black.
Mm-hmm. Listen. You know how it's my job to pull you back when you've stepped so far into the character that it's no longer the character. You're overplaying the character of P. Turtle now.
I swear to God, this is interesting to me.
Yeah, but
did you not hear about Tupac getting beat up by Michael Jackson? Have you not heard that Tupac was gay?
First off, what does that have to do with him being beat up by Michael Jackson?
I'm saying all of this is an act to destroy culture. It's a part of the degradation of black culture. They do it for money.
Everybody does it for money.
I know, but they don't sell their soul for money. Not everybody.
Everybody, for the most part, sells their fucking soul.
I know.
Yeah, you do.
Somebody says, "Can we fact check Michael Jackson beating up Tupac?" Yeah, you can. There's a lot of sources out there.
Okay,
anyway,
I'm gonna let you go, Pete Turtle.
Wait, can you please let me just say this one thing? I won't call in for 3 weeks.
It's not that I don't want you to call in, but you're saying things that now are so outside of a normal conversation. I don't care if you can draw an interesting line between the fact that maybe in some world Tupac got beaten the shit out of by Michael Jackson to the fact that the country is falling apart because, in your words, black people and other people of color are not as good.
Okay,
then fine. But
okay,
short of that, which I know you can't do because it's horseshit.
What I'm saying is that black culture. In black culture, they have no real heroes. In black culture, they don't have doctors. It exists, but I'm saying it's not part of the culture. It's like what? Go ahead.
No.
Okay, please.
You can live your life thinking there are no black doctors. Sure.
I didn't say. If you just let me fucking speak.
I didn't say. But you didn't make sense.
Culturally, when Indians come to this country. What is a stereotype, right? A stereotype is that Indians force their kids to become doctors. Can you follow the logic? Can you let me speak? God damn it.
Because you're not offering the whole picture. You're making this assumption that all of this takes place in a world that if the black folks were, quote, better, then they would also force their kids to be doctors. And you don't take into account anything else. You don't take into account why it may be culturally that an Indian man coming to this country with his family, that was not a country built on the backs of his people that were stolen away, and we still have systemic racism in this country, that is going to affect the way that person in that community and that culture is perceived and how they perceive themselves and the opportunities they get and the opportunities they don't. You are, like I said, and it may...
Wait, so you think I just think black culture is just bad? It just started off bad?
You literally said black culture is ruining America. And it is.
I said it's degenerate culture. And yeah, I wanted to talk about how it got there. But you know what? You're not giving me the time. We can bypass that. Let me just get to what I wanted to say before you get me out of here.
This is not what you wanted to say? Good God Almighty. If this is
I'll say it real quick because I wanted to touch on the...
Because I'm really worried about the sex.
I wanted to touch on the black trans thing yesterday that we didn't get to. I just want to say it real quick.
Okay.
The reason why there's more black trans that have violence upon them is because most of them work in sex work. Most of them, and because black trans women, men, I don't know what would they?
Goodbye, Peep Turtle. I love you, buddy, but you're a misguided, stupid son of a bitch. Good Sir Richard. Hey, buddy. He says, "Who is this genius?" There he is. It's nice to hear from you again. I know you kind of went offline for a while and you stopped doing your streaming and stuff, but I'm glad you're doing well. I hope you and your children folk had a nice Thanksgiving together, and I hope everything is well. There is good old Review Tech right there. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for that super chat. Let me bring in Jeremy, version 2. Jeremy, it's Jaffe. What's going on? Hey, it works. Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Okay. So apparently Chrome doesn't like Streamlabs. I've never done this before. So shout out to the Aloha browser because it's working.
Cool.
First of all, I just want to say, the original God of War is top 3 PlayStation game of all time for me. So I love your work. I genuinely do.
You love our work because it was a bunch of us who did it. But on behalf of them and me, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
So my question is, questions, I guess, but I feel like the current state of gaming and what a lot of people think are the biggest problems of gaming sort of come down to 3 points. One is the politicizing and inserting agendas. The second one is stagnant innovation. Just the same old shit, Ubisoft making Far Cry 17 and it's just Far Cry 3 with a new paint job.
Okay.
And then the third one is the dumbing down of it. And I feel like...
Wait. The dumbing down of it, what does that mean?
The gameplay, the story, everything. And I feel like Veilguard is sort of a perfect amalgamation of the 3.
Okay.
I feel like everything in Veilguard was made with all three of those. The gameplay is stagnant. It's not as good as the previous installments, in my opinion.
It's very different. I mean, it doesn't
It's,
even.
it's very
you would be
It's
forgetting, having no idea if you weren't following the stories, that it was even a Dragon Age game. It doesn't play like that at all.
Well, true, but I also think it plays worse. And it's very bloodless. It's a very bizarrely non-violent game. Like I've never seen a game where you stab people with swords be so not violent. Like it's bizarre.
It's got a tone that I think is not really what the fans wanted. Sure, but that's, I mean, but let's take so the first one was an agenda in the game. The second one was it's
the same old shit every, just redundant.
Third was what again?
Just the dumbing down of it.
So the first one, I think, as I've said ad nauseum, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. Although if you're going to beat a horse, it's better to be a dead one, because it's not going to hurt it, is what I think. But anyway, I'm not going to do that metaphorically. And so, if you've been listening, I mean, bad writing is bad writing. And if you feel that there is an agenda being shoved into the writing that sits on top of the experience, whether that agenda is don't take drugs because they're bad for you, or at least certain kinds of drugs. Don't be a racist. Don't be a homophobe. Don't be a transphobe. All of those things, by the way, I absolutely agree with. But if you feel those messages are so on the nose and so aggressively presented in a way that doesn't take into account that for a lot of people at this budget that EA is spending, they needed to kind of be a little bit more subversive in communicating a pretty radical idea for a lot of people. I would agree with that. I think most people would agree with that.
Here's the thing. Do you know a game that, all these people that are saying, and I agree to a point, I'm not as extreme with it as some people, but that say that this game has agenda out the wazoo. It has these horrible cutscenes, bringing up pronouns in the.
Can you articulate the agenda out the wazoo?
Like, just this need to put sexuality and gender identity into everything. And
in Dragon Age we're talking about, or what do you mean?
Sure, certainly. You have an entire quest line that ends with, I mean, you've already brought up the cutscene. You know what I'm going to talk about, the push-up cutscene.
Yeah, the cutscene's terrible.
But you know what a game that all of these people who hate this new Veilguard for this sort of writing love, that has tons of gay characters and is considered a classic and amazingly written? Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2. We love those games. We don't hate Veilguard just because it has gay characters.
Wait a minute, stop. You don't hate Veilguard just because it has gay characters, or you don't hate
that's
Veilguard?
What you guys like to say.
Wait a minute. Let me finish, because what you just said, I don't think you meant to say. So I'm going to give you a chance to either say it different.
Remove the just. You're right.
Right.
I misspoke.
But what I was don't hate Veilguard. Let me finish. You don't hate Veilguard because it has gay characters. You hate Veilguard because why?
Well, because that's what you guys try to say. Oh, you guys hate it just because it has.
That is not true. You think that's what I try to say? You think that's what I try to say?
I'm talking about all the people who call us grifters and all this other stuff.
Are you a grifter? Do you make video content and lie about it?
No, I don't have the kind.
So I would not call you. Then I would not call you a grifter.
But I agree with a lot of the so-called grifters, though.
Okay, but what do they say? Are they saying we don't like Veilguard because it is poorly written? I agree with them. We don't like Veilguard because tonally we expect something very different from a Dragon Age game based on what we've been trained on in Origins and Inquisition. I agree with them. We don't like Dragon Age Veilguard because whether it's written well or not, it seems to be written for an audience that is like young adult people who would buy Rick Riordan, Percy Jackson novels. I agree with them. If you're saying we don't like
these characters, feel the need to bring up in a cutscene, hey, introduce themselves. Hey, these are my pronouns. This is my sexuality. This is what I'm attracted to. We don't need all that info.
Well,
think about some of the best characters.
No, stop. You can't do that with me because not because I'm some kind of brilliant mind, but I do need specifics. So let's take Dragon Age. where in the game, other than the scene that you and I are already going to war together to fight the bad guys on, which is bad writing, where they're talking about, hey, now let's pull a barf. Other than that, are you telling me there are times in the game where you go, here's my friend. Oh, hi, I'm him, her. Like, is that in the game?
You can't pretend there's not plenty of times where, for example, the one character being non-binary is brought up.
I don't know yet. I've only met you mean the thrall or whatever, who's the dragon mixed with a bull or something? Who's the one that,
I guess.
Okay. Well, what do you mean you guess? That I'm assuming is that the one you mean? But if
I gave up on the game, honestly. But yeah.
Well, have you made it to that character?
Yeah. I made it to that character.
So I made it to that character. I am now doing the quest where I have gone into the Temple of the Dead, whatever it's called, the Necropolis or something. And I'm looking for now the third iteration of the demon that I have to kill before it opens up the locked door. Okay. So in that, I have yet to see the barf scene, and I have yet to see anything about the character where their sexuality or their gender or anything is addressed, but I'm sure it will be because I've seen some of the cutscenes online. So are you saying that pretty soon I'm going to be inundated with, hey, call me she, her, or whatever? I mean, is that what's going to happen? It just hasn't happened yet.
I mean, I guess it depends on how in depth you get into talking to these characters, but
you must have gotten in depth pretty good, right? Because they talk to you like that.
Well, I mean, I've watched everything online because I couldn't play through it anymore. I was bored of the gameplay. But I've watched all the conversations and the videos and the cutscenes and all that.
Yeah.
And all I can do is think back to, some of the games that are most beloved of the past 10 years have plenty of, gay characters or, even trans characters. And you don't hear a peep about it because they're done correctly.
What is done correctly?
The game that I have up on my screen right now, loaded up on my Series X, as soon as we're done talking, I'm pausing and going back to it, is Cyberpunk 2077.
Okay.
Amazing game now.
Love that game.
Great now game. It is. You know who one of my favorite characters is in that game? And not because of her sexuality or anything else, but because of who she is and how cool she is? Judy. I love Judy.
I don't even know Judy. Who's Judy?
Judy is the hacker girl.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah. She's the one that you go and I know who she is now. Yeah.
Tatted up,
I didn't know her name was Judy, but okay.
I think it's Judy. Oh God, I haven't played.
No, you might be right. You might be right. I don't know. But anyway, okay. So you like Judy. Great. And she's what? She's a trans character?
She's a lesbian, and she will not. And you know how many times that's brought up outside of her romance quest when you're playing as a female V? Not once that I can remember. Okay. They didn't need to bring it up because it's irrelevant.
Great, but
she is a great character that you don't.
But this is what you come across to my brain, right? To my brain, it's more of a sense of going, it's easy for me to square this away and go, that's bad writing. Then, unless the story is really, really about the character's sexuality or gender appreciation or gender revelation or whatever, then I would agree. It seems goofy and on the nose. I call that stupid writing, bad writing. I think most of us agree that there's big parts of Dragon Age that's not well written, but there's a lot of those. How about the fact that half the time any of the characters say anything, they put their hands on their hips like the king and I, and it's like, well, I mean, there's 50,000 things in that game that are poorly performed and written. So it just seems a little weird that it's like, I'm not anti-trans, but out of all the shit I could complain about, that one just seems to be the one that continually gets referenced. It makes me a little suspicious.
Because it's done so poorly.
There's a lot of things that are done so poorly, but I would agree that is a terrible scene. You're not wrong.
Well, the problem is it's done poorly again and again in all of these games. And they're being more blatant about it, and they don't weave it into the story. There's just suddenly a cutscene where, hey, this character is trans. Okay. And that does what for me? That does what for the story? That does what for the character? Even nothing.
Again, you're talking about. Can we agree? Can we agree that it's just bad writing, though?
I think it's bad writing brought on by a need to check a box off on the agenda check mark. We got to have.
But that's not very. That's not a very intelligent understanding of how the creative process works. That would imply And I get it. Maybe you don't you've never worked in the creative field professionally, so maybe you don't know.
Well, just recently that
fair.
guy came out and said, and he was super left wing, and he talked about how he would bring up ideas for his female character. God, I wish I'd written this down. This is all impromptu.
That's okay.
And they would shut him down, or they would say he has to go back and change it because it wasn't progressive enough for them.
Okay. Just keep going.
That happens all the time. Like
you're missing the point when I say that you don't have the data. Listen, you're offering up a scenario where the creative process, making movies or TV shows or video games, that it's almost like you have this vision that they occur in this wonderful kumbaya creative vacuum, and anybody just shows up and they go, I just make whatever I want, right? Since the beginning of someone saying, if you're going to use my money to make your movie, Cecil B. DeMille, or my TV show, Norman Lear, or my video game, David Jaffe, you
don't think there's any
hang on. Because we're funding it, there's some things you're going to need to do if you want to play in our playground that we're funding. And good writers or good creatives are able to go, okay, I wanted Stallone in Beverly Hills Cop. We didn't get him. We got Eddie Murphy. Let's rewrite it. Eddie Murphy was not the guy that was originally going to be in that movie or 48 Hours. But they said, you know what? This is what we got from the studio. We're hiring Eddie Murphy. Let's work with him and make it and they were good writers. So the idea that suddenly the video game industry is the first industry ever that is overrun with studio notes for whatever reason. Sometimes it's political, in terms of like the culture politics. Sometimes it's political because the actor you want to hire pissed off the wife of the studio executive because he said he wouldn't fuck her. You never fucking know. But there's a million reasons why studios give notes. And good writers take those notes back and say, we have to work with this. And the good writers figure it out. But the idea that you felt like it's checking a box, don't blame what the box is being asked for, because you've already in this very conversation said that you've seen games where trans characters are written well and you like them and it doesn't feel overtly obnoxious, correct?
Sure.
So there's nothing at fault. The box can't be the problem. The need to check the box can't be the problem. The quality of the check inside the box is the problem. So blame that. Not the fact that there's a request that box gets checked. That's every game.
No, I think the big problem is that all of these games feel the need to check all those boxes. That is not the conclusion to arrive at. Why? Why do you think that every game should need to check all of those boxes?
I didn't say every game should, and I don't think every game does. But what I'm saying is we have plenty of evidence in entertainment and funded entertainment where boxes, whatever they may be, have been required to be checked, and movies, games, music, TV shows that check them well, people love. And when they check them poorly, people complain. Isn't that great? That's called good writing, good craft, bad craft. So don't blame the studio note itself. Blame the poor execution of the studio note.
But you clearly see pushback whenever someone tries to make a game where it doesn't check those boxes. Look at the reaction we got.
It does or does not check those boxes.
Does not. When they don't check those boxes, people go crazy. You saw the reaction not long ago with Stellar Blade, which was a very simple premise. It's
what box was? I know what it is. What box was not checked in Stellar Blade?
Almost all of the ones that they like check these days. As far as I know, there's no gay or trans or whatever.
Okay, so what was the problem? It sold over 1 million copies. They're making a sequel. It didn't cost that much to make, so it didn't have to do that well. But, it's a solid single. They got on base with it. They're hopefully going to build it into a bigger franchise with the second part, have more varied environments, blah, blah, blah. What was the problem? There's no issue with that game.
What I'm not talking about the sales, because gamers tend to show up for these games. That game sold up a lot better than Veilguard did. But my point is the reaction to it when the gameplay would come out. You're on Twitter. You saw the reaction. People losing their minds.
Are you okay? Well, wait a minute. Are you saying that when Stellar Blade was revealed and she was an overtly sexual character, there were people that didn't like that? That's what you're saying, correct?
No, not just didn't like that. Everyone's allowed to like or dislike whatever they want. That's not an issue.
Okay.
But actively trying to, saying cancel this game, ban this game, this game should be destroyed.
Okay, let me give you the way I operate. Let me give you
sexual violence.
Let me give you the way I operate with this, because I genuinely take what you're saying seriously, because I think it's a real problem with online culture. In my opinion, and I'm more than happy to be proven wrong, I am very aware there were people that didn't like the vibe of Stellar Blade. I wasn't one of them. I like overt sexuality when that's what I know I'm getting, as long as it's not like sexist and cruel, unless that's like a slasher movie or something. I'm like, cool, bring it on. I like, people accuse me like, you would never make God of War. I'd make God of War the exact same way today, and the tits would look even better.
You would try. But
I would try. Right. But what? Right. But wait. Do not derail where I'm going with this. Do not derail where I'm going with this, because it's important, in my opinion, at least. And I can answer your question in a minute, but I want to get to your bigger point, which is, so I agree. There are people, though, that didn't like the overt sexuality. Guess what? Who gives a shit? The game wasn't canceled. The game wasn't changed. People talk about, the bathing suit or whatever. And it's like that whole thing, we never really got the full story. And ultimately it's clear the overt sexuality in that game is off the fucking charts. And so I think it's great that it's out there. So yeah, there were people that complained, but there's always going to be
people that tried to dox. There are people that tried to.
They're assholes. Then fuck them. They're morons and they should be in jail. But
sure, I agree with that.
But there are bad people all over the place.
Let me ask you this: because like I said, your first God of War game, top 3. The only 2 games on PS1 that are above that are you're with the heavy hitters, because it's Resident Evil 2, Metal Gear Solid, and then God of War. So
hey, I'll take it. I'll take being in the top 50, man. There were great games on that system.
So if you try to make God of War 1 now, same game, but, prettied up for whatever, or, to modern standards graphically or whatever, but same game, essentially. Same sex mini games and everything. Do you think Sony would be willing to publish that game now?
Probably.
Party title.
Probably not.
Okay.
So what?
So why do you think that is? Because
okay, I'll tell you but you could tell me first. Go ahead.
It's because they think that it's a problem now. They think that it's socially unacceptable. They think that, it's going to upset people. Whereas we see when those games actually do get through the cracks one way or another, like Stellar Blade, they sell exceedingly well.
No, they do not sell exceedingly well.
Want that sort of thing.
That is a false narrative. The Stellar Blade did well for what it cost. It did not do exceedingly well. It hasn't even broken 2 million copies sold. But I'm a fan of it. I'm not knocking the thing. But it's wrong to put out there that suddenly this narrative that, see, when you make what we want with no quote agenda, it flies off the shelves. I'm not saying there's not some truth to the argument. And I think you see it, at least in movies like Twister. I think you see it in movies like Gladiator or movies like Moana 2, that Hollywood is recognizing we probably were too overt with the fact that we wanted to reflect a cultural shift that not everyone is ready for, or at least maybe they think they'll never be ready for, blah, blah, blah. I don't think you're wrong about that as a concept, but it's wrong to paint Stellar Blade as some kind of, weather balloon or test balloon of like, see, it sold 1.5 million copies. Big deal. But that's great. That's great. I like it.
Okay, well, let's just focusing on Kratos' character himself, not bringing into the nudity or the violence of the game, just Kratos. We have this character who is the protagonist, the quote-unquote hero. He's not much of a hero, but he's violent, he's mean, he kills the people that are straight up willing to give him what he wants. Mm-hmm. And that's great. That's the kind of, disconnect we like, to turn our brain off and play as a psychopath.
Gotcha.
Yep. But that would not be an acceptable, I don't think, playable character anymore. And we've seen that because
can't,
of how they changed him in the newer games. We've seen what they've done to Kratos.
I think I have a little bit more insight into why that change happened than you do. I would tell you that I don't think there was a sense of somebody sitting Corey down and going, "This ain't gonna fly, boy." I think it was more like everybody looked at the sales of Ascension and recognized that this is, it's stale now. We got to do something crazy. We got to shake it up or let it, stagnate or let it hibernate for a while. And Corey comes in and says, "Hey, what if we took this character that was just batshit anti-hero and let's have this guy grow in like a human would, not a comic book hero, which is what I would love him to stay, but let's actually treat him like a person and have him grow." That was a really compelling, commercial, interesting concept for all kinds of reasons. But I don't, as they said,
I think you might as well just make a new character at that point, because you're taking away everything Kratos was.
Yes, but what Kratos was no longer marketable, though, because people were tired.
Says who?
Says the sales of Ascension.
It's not marketable to these big corporations, but the average person, I guarantee you.
You don't guarantee me shit. They tried to sell Ascension. They had a warehouse filled of PS3 God of War Ascension copies. People were tired of it. Well, they had made PSP versions. They had made 5 mainline titles. They were tired of it.
Well, that's something separate. It's
not something separate. Look, listen.
That's the Ubisoft problem of why Far Cry has been going downhill, because they keep re-releasing the same game.
All right. Listen to me. This is a real problem, and I wish we could solve it, man. I really wish we could, because I'm trying to tell you things and my mind is open, but you're saying things that I just simply don't agree with. And I can live with you on the same planet and we don't agree on things, and that's fine. That's life, man. But the idea, though, that even this guy I don't know who PD host in the chat is talking to, you or me, but he says, "Look at Doom, same character, people love it." BS argument. If you're saying that to me, I'm telling you the games didn't sell that well after a while.
I think that's a great suggestion, because Doom guy is still
for whatever the reason. God of War 2018 sold gangbusters. People loved it. I didn't like God of War Ragnarok, but it sold incredibly well. It's sitting at number 5 of their best-selling games or whatever. And so, yay, good for them, whatever. But to answer your question, could I make it again today, and why couldn't I at Sony? Because Sony now has an audience that is much bigger than it was. And there's a lot more of a spotlight, and there's a lot more of a need because the budgets are so big to not rock the boat. It's got nothing to do with culture, like, oh, you'll get canceled if you make a game with sex in it. No, but you'll probably lose a lot of sales if you are as overt as I was in God of War 1, because there are people out there that don't like that, and they'll make a fuss and it'll affect sales. But all these corporations, they just care about the money. And so I would probably have to go make that somewhere else, but that's fine.
I would argue that I don't think Sony has a clue what people want anymore. If they did, they probably wouldn't have lost 100 million whatever on Concord recently. They're more worried about appearing to be socially.
I don't listen. I'm telling you, man, I know you guys like to say that my side, and maybe we are, and that's fine. I don't have to be right on this, but let's just say this. If my side of this culture war are living in a bubble, you guys are too. I'm telling you, man, whether or not you ever come around to my views on things, what I will tell you is that the idea that Sony's biggest concern is being socially acceptable, what kind of publicly traded company gives a living fuck? They're just like Disney. Disney was like, oh, diversity is going to make us ducats. Let's do it. And then after about 1.5 years of a number of those films being a little bit too overt, Bob Iger comes out and says, you know what? We were wrong. We pushed too hard. And they're stepping back. And they have the number 1 movie in America this weekend. So the idea that Sony's more concerned with not offending certain, it's an emotional argument, and I can appreciate your passion, but it's not built on the bones of any kind of real logic.
I think dismissing it as an emotional argument isn't really fair, because
what kind of argument should I dismiss it as? Because you don't have any evidence to back it up.
Let me just ask you one more question.
Sure.
Why do you think it is, these the people you call grifters, why do you think it is that they have problems with games like Veilguard, but not problems with a game like Baldur's Gate 3 or Dragon Age Origins or Cyberpunk 2077 or all these games that have the same kind of thing in them, but are not just doing it to check boxes or being overt with? Why do you think, I'm not even going to add any context. Why do you think they like those games and not a game like Veilguard or Dustborn or
Dustborn is a totally different conversation, but let's stick with Veilguard because that's what we've been talking about.
Well, I think it has a lot of similar problems, but that's fine.
Okay. Well, okay. So Dragon Age Veilguard, as we've all agreed, is a really poorly written game. It is a disappointing game for Dragon Age fans. It is tonally not what was promised. There's a lot of reasons to aim your disdain at that game. And some of those examples, when it comes to the tone and the writing, is when they are being overt about their take on LGBT rights and things like that. And so when I say grifters again, this is what I mean, because people act like they know the definition and I don't. A grifter is somebody who basically lies to people in order to take their money. Okay. So if you're telling me one of these people who has bitched about the game is talking about the writing and the tone and the inaccurate advertising of what a Dragon Age game is, I would say they're not a grifter. But if in that conversation, they have disproportionately focused on the trans or the non-binary aspect and presented a game inaccurately, as if that aspect of the game is just loaded and always in your face and always what the game's about, then I would say they're a grifter because they know that makes money. There's a large percentage of the population that isn't really ready, and they may never be ready to accept certain types of people. And in that, they're like, I can make a lot of fucking ducats off this. And they are grifters. You don't see it as pushed as much because the games you mentioned are better written. Cyberpunk is better executed and better written. So it's not a problem, although it was a problem for some of them, God forbid, when they saw a trans woman in a poster or a trans woman in a poster. But for most people, though, end of the day, they're like, okay, this is pretty fucking good. It's a pretty fucking good game. They're going to have a hard time making that argument stick.
So you think it's because that the writing is better, essentially, in those games?
The execution is better. The game is better. The writing is better. It's just a better product. The value is better.
Okay, yeah. My response would be, I think the writing is worse in Veilguard because they felt the need to shove all that stuff in there.
I've already had this conversation with you. A good writer can take any note and make it sing. Your issue is with the writing, buddy. It's not with the box. Thanks, bud. I'm going to let you go, Jeremy. Call back another time. I did enjoy talking to you, but I think we're talking in circles. All right. See you, bud.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Let me bring on some of these new guys. Let me also get Risk It for the Biscuit, one of my favorite usernames of all time. Thank you for the super chat. He says, wait, your argument is making what consumers want doesn't work. I'm not saying what works, but clarify that for me. Sure. My argument is, of course, making exactly what consumers want always works. But my argument is also, like Steve Jobs says, the customer doesn't know what they want until you show it to them. Okay. So you can tell me, let's take Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade's a great example. Stellar Blade is a game that a lot of these guys out there, like Grums, were like, finally, I've held the line. We've done it, boys. The war is coming to an end. If a woman would kiss me, I would grab her in Times Square and bend her over and kiss her for the Victory Day parade. Okay. But fundamentally, a game that cost $50 million, which is what it cost, and it was very sexually overt, which I thought was awesome. Absolutely awesome about it. One of my favorite things about it, although it's too hard for me, but I should play it on easy. The game still hasn't broken. It's like 1.6 million sell through, which is not bad. It's profitable. But the idea that that's them making exactly what the customers wanted. Well, that didn't work, did it? Concord didn't work. Now you could talk about the wokeness of the characters, but everything else, if you were greenlighting a game 2 years ago, hero shooter, multiplayer, service game, we're not going to nickel and dime you for every fucking thing. And it's a team made up of people from, Destiny and Apex and all that. this is going to be great. That's what customers say they want. And then something else comes along that they didn't even know they wanted. And you're off to the fucking races. So it's not that you don't want to make what they want, but if you simply, these are creatives, they're not short order cooks. And even if they weren't, the industry is filled with selling games that was basically following this checklist, these boxes you guys are talking about, of like, they like shooters, they like this, they like this, they like this, and they like this. Boom, there it is. Hey, it just did okay. Yeah. Six says, this dude is just desperately trying to stay relevant. I would love you to call in, buddy. What do you mean by that? Why would I need to stay relevant? You've got to be younger than me, correct? I had somebody send me a picture of my YouTube video about one of these topics, and they circled it in red of the ratioing, because there were more comments versus likes. And he sent it as if that was some kind of sucker punch to me. And I'm like, bitch, I'm 53. I have done more with my life, whether you're talking raising kids, co-running businesses that have kept people employed for a collection of like 12 years, if you put them together, and making entertainment that has brought joy to millions of people. You'll never be able to breathe in the same air that I breathe if we're only giving people air that have relevancy. Why do you think relevancy or being ratioed matters to someone like me? I get to sit on my ass and talk with people that I find interesting and talk about things I love. I don't even have to do it on a schedule. That's how little I care. I do it when I feel like it, is when I show up. And here's why the comment bothers me, because if it didn't bother me, I wouldn't comment on it, right? I get that. Why does it bother me when somebody says, haha, you got ratioed, or haha, you're just trying to stay relevant? It bothers me because it's such a poor reflection. I find people who are actually bothered by those things so, as you kids say, cringe, that it embarrasses me to go, someone out there thinks that I'm like that, right? Because I think it's so gross that you would live your life worried. Think about how scared you would need to be to go, I have an opinion on something, and I'd like to use my social media platform, whatever it is. Olivia Newton-John, what? I'm 53. Fuck you. Olivia Newton-John wasn't as hot as Fair. Fuck you. The point is, Sydney Sweeney's not as hot as, or is not as hot as Jenna Ortega. Fine. There you go. Did I make it work for you, you idiot? Okay, fine. I don't want to say that, because I'll get ratioed. Here's the deal, Six. I like you. You give me content, and I appreciate it. Why don't you call in, man? There's a link right there. You don't have to put yourself on the screen. Why don't any of you tough dudes with all your fucking, bravado and Joe Rogan alpha horse shit, where are you? Call me. You can't even pick up your fucking headset and call me, can you? You can't do it. You can't do it. It's almost like you're a fucking bitch, man. Huh. It's weird, man. IGN wrote an article saying the creator had never seen a woman. Then his wife got pissed and said she was hot as fuck. Yeah. There are people that had takes on Stellar Blade that I thought were stupid. Who gives a shit? It's not like the game got canceled. People have stupid ideas all the time. I was literally in the chat just now talking to Six. His entire life is a bevy of stupid ideas. His whole foundation is built on the dumbest ideas possible. It's staggering he could figure out how to get out of bed this morning and get to the keyboard to actually type his brain dead comments. But that's people, man. The game wasn't canceled. Game's still out there doing well. It's going to be a sequel. Listen to this, man. Sigrat. It's Jaffe. What's up, champion? Are you there?
Hey, is my stuff working now, brother?
Yes, it is. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Very good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm actually a big fan of yours.
Thank you very much.
Glad to be able to call in, and I got an honest statement for you, brother. Why are you caring what these guys say?
Oh, I make money off of it.
Yeah, but you put your time and work
And-
into
and
the
I like
community.
arguing.
You gave the game community a lot, brother.
I
These
did.
guys, bluntly put, are piss randoms. They're defending a game that's garbage based on the fact that they focus on a social statement rather than a game.
Oh, they're not.
That's
very
the problem.
Oh yeah, it's horrible. But here's why though. It's a good question though, and I appreciate you calling in with it. I really do like it. I was talking to my brother recently about this, and I don't know. I also talked to Colin Moriarty about this at Last Stand Media. It may be cultural. He's Italian. We were raised Jewish. My brother's still Jewish. It's in that DNA I have found, like debating and discussing and taking an idea and rolling it around and kicking the ball around. I find that really fucking fun. It does, but I know there are some people that's like, why, I don't take it all that serious other than when people are being mean or when they're not really using their brain pans. Then I'm like, dude, come on. Think about what you're really saying. But I don't know, man. I find it fun. I also find it fun talking about games, but let's be clear, Sigrat, it makes me money and it does well. It's so disturbing to me but I get it. People like theater. That's what you have to embrace with this horse shit. Is like, I'm never going to lie to you. I'm never going to let this be a hateful community. Even though P Turtle's a moron, I think we all know he's playing a character. But people have life's tough, and I don't mind giving a little theater and entertaining people in my own weird way. Trust me, I'm not like, I'm not Asmongold. I'm not that guy, but I like doing it. It's fun. That's my answer.
And that's a fair answer. Like, again, I'm having trouble keeping up with a chat. I have a little bit of trouble reading, but I'm not really levitating above anybody. I'm on the same equal footing.
Oh, no, I'm not. Some of them are rubbish.
If your point is to come in on and just attack people in a YouTube chat, it's not. You're kind of wasting your time. My entire thing is you got a lot of blowback for relatively nothing. A few comments. You tried to go out of your way to stay neutral and not bring up names. Where, in my opinion, you probably should have just called out the person who's being
Which one though? Are you talking about Asmongold? Because he's
no.
Okay, because that was not about him at all. Oh, Grown?
No, I know.
Vera Dark. Vera Dark.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I just thought it would be a fun video.
And that's completely fine. I mean,
I liked it when she
YouTube
said,
space.
and he told me, quote, to go fuck myself. And I'm like, I've got to make a video. But I mean, and the thing is, and that's why I say a lot of it's theater. I'm not saying we don't believe in what we're saying. I'm not lying. I'm not playing a character in that sense, but I talked to her today on her stream and she seemed like a perfectly nice human being. Now she could be full of shit. Like I was on that side scrollers thing with that stuttering guy or whatever his name is. And to my face, he was really, really nice. And then he makes a video really just sort of being incredibly cruel about me and my son. And I was like, okay, you're now on my list of people I will never give the time of day to. I will not open my brain to have you as someone that I would like to find a meeting of the minds with. But Vera, so far, when I talked to her sort of out of character, I was like, all right, maybe we can disagree on some things, but let's see, maybe we'll be pals. I don't know. But I don't know. I like this stuff. It's fun. I have ADD. It's fun for my brain. Cigarette.
And that's what matters if you're having a good time with it.
Yeah.
I've actually got another homie up in queue who wants to potentially try to get a meeting set up where you talk to Asmongold about that.
Cool. Excellent. Excellent.
But overall,
all right.
I had one last question before I stepped over and let someone else take my spot.
What you got?
I've been informed that you've not seen the Twisted Metal TV show. Yes.
Me? No, I have. I love season 1. It was great.
Okay.
Excellent.
I'm glad to hear that. I've not seen many people who've seen that show, and it's a lot better than I heard it would be.
Yes, and they got season 2 coming. They already wrapped filming. It is. I was so surprised by the fan service that fucking show did. The fact that they took these just throwaway characters that I had created or other people had created, and suddenly it's like, no, they got a fucking character arc now. They really are all in on the actual lore of it. I'm like, dude, some of this shit was written on a napkin 5 minutes before we shot it, but they've actually, again, good writing, good, it's not Shakespeare, but it's people going, we know what this is. It's meant to be silly and fun entertainment. And we have a character called Mr. Grimm or Dollface or whatever. And we're not just going to treat it like shit. We're going to go, that's a character we have to put in. Let's do our jobs. Let's use our craft. And I think they made some good stuff. All right, buddy. Thank you for calling. I appreciate it.
Hey, you have a great one.
You too. All right. Let me bring in Don Vader of the Cincinnati Vaders. Donnie, it's Jaffe. What's going on, champ?
Hey, how's it going, Dave? How are you?
I'm very good.
Hey, I want to say thanks again for being honest with your opinions and everything else on here. It really shows a moral character of a person coming on here and really just, showing it how it is. Because a lot of guys on here on the online platform for content creators, you're not really getting like the truth of who a person is, and you really shine with that.
And I
when you talk
appreciate
about
that.
what you believe in. It matters. And
honesty is important to me. Genuineness is important to me. I appreciate that.
It is, and like you gave a lot to the community and stuff. And a lot of these guys, a lot of these kids, they're younger. They don't know like the trials and tribulations that game designers had to go through, where they grinded so hard to
It's
do
really
what
hard.
they believed in, so hard for what they believed in. And then you have people that come in. It's like, oh, I need a mental day. I can't come in today to help with the project. It's just ridiculous. Like you think about, you rewind 20 years ago, 25 years ago. You said that to your boss. What is he going to say to you?
Yeah, but I think there you're getting into a little interesting area for me, because on one hand, like I always got the benefit though of being one of the leaders, the creative leader. And I also got the financial benefit of if I come in and work weekends and nights and stuff, guess what? My bonus payout is high enough that here I am years after having shipped a game that didn't do shit, and I'm still, able to live off that money. But an artist that had to work just as many hours probably is like, dude, God of War money. Are you kidding me? I spent that all in 2007 and the game came out in the end of 2005 or whatever. So, I mean, I get it, but I also will say that it is becoming more and more of a sweatshop. And I do believe that, people need to be compensated fairly for their work and they need to be appreciated. And I think the game business needs to change, but I also think that, are there people that can take advantage of that? Sure. But that's anybody. I mean, I think unions are great. I think it's going to be very hard for video games to get them, but it would be nice if these people were compensated a lot fairer than they are, and they were not worked to the fucking bone. I'll tell you what is, and shame on the goddamn press. Because all these press is going around, oh, it's terrible that the GTA 6 and GTA crunches and all that. Fine. If you really believe that, don't cover their games.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that.
Oh no, then we don't get money then.
Right.
We don't get money then.
So it's a big fucking charade parade, whatever.
It's like a big balancing act, because you have to look at it that you want to compensate people correctly, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
People should be paid what they should be paid. But the thing is that you have to look at it then from this perspective. Like, for example, if you're an artist, okay, and you're choosing to go into that field, you know the path that you're going down. You know on what you're going to get paid for what you're doing, especially in that area. So you know the animal you're getting into when you do this. Whereas you understood the animal, what you were doing to get into your area. And you had to claw tooth and nail to get to where you needed to be. You have to show and go above. You have to be.
Yes, you do have to do that. Like that I still agree with a lot of these people who are be like, well, never work for free or never put in. It's like, it depends. If you want to be noticed and you want to rise in the ranks of a company that you have to know doesn't give a shit about you, but they do have cool toys to play with and you can make a lot of money at certain levels, then you do have to put in the extra hours. Absolutely. And if you don't want to, that's fine. But you're right. That I did do. I was there at the very beginning when I was a tester, finding any fucking finger hole in the mountain I could to get another inch or two off the ground. Absolutely. But that's not for everybody, and it shouldn't be for everybody. But I definitely agree that the idea that mentality that a lot of people have, that it's just like, no, I don't need to do that. It's like, yeah, you do. Fuck you. Because end of the day, it's all capitalism. No matter what people say, it's all lip service. Right. It's about what you can make. It is, and it's a real, I wanted to talk about it later, but I'll get into it on the next Jaffe stream. But some amazing stats coming out about countries that I'll save it. I'll save it for later. All right, John Vader, thank you, bud. I appreciate the call.
Bye-bye.
All right, fellas. I promised Matt that I would bring him in. Let me get Caleb's comment real quick. This is what I mean, Caleb. Caleb writes this. He says, "Bro calls others a grifter, then says I just do it cause money. Ha ha ha." Again, you don't know what a grifter is. This is the problem I have. And it's okay for me to have a problem, Caleb. It's not your job to fix it. But you're stupid. Okay? A grifter is not someone that just does things for money. That's just somebody who has a job. And trust me, I don't think I make a lot of money, but I'm aware that certain content will make money. And of course, I play to that at times, but I try not to play to it all the time because I also want to have interesting, nuanced conversations on this channel about games and design and the art form and just interesting things. But a grifter, I just want to help you with your education, buddy. Maybe your dad left for cigarettes, quote, and never came back. I don't know. But bro calls others a grifter and then says, I do it just for money. A grifter is somebody that will lie to you or commit fraud in the hope, or maybe not even the hope, it may have to have occurred if you are a grifter. If you are a successful grifter, how about that, Caleb? Words matter. It's because, by definition, you have lied or committed fraud in order to take money from someone. Okay? So you're selling them horseshit, and you know it's horseshit. Okay, Caleb? So, for example, if I came to you and I said, Caleb, I have a pill you can take. It'll cost you $5,000 and it'll make you not an asshole, right? And you gave it to me, the money, and I gave you the pill. I would be a grifter, Caleb. And here's why. Because nothing can fix what's wrong with you, which is you were raised by morons and you were educated at best with a banana and an inner tube. And in that, there's no pill. But I'll still take your money, you fucking idiotic horseshit piece of crap. Caleb, I love you. Call back anytime, you bitch. Matt, I told you I'd bring you in at the end of the show.
I appreciate it.
What's going on, good sir?
All right, man. I got a dealer's choice for you. We can either talk about game of the year. You know, we've gotten a lot of different kind of experiences this year, a lot of really good games. Or we could talk about Machine Games and their attempt to do an Indiana Jones game. How do you think that's going to go over?
What was the first one? I got the Indiana Jones game. What was the first one though?
Game of the year. What we've gotten so many different kinds of things going.
I mean, okay. Well, let me just say this. I mean, I'll get them both quickly. How about that?
Yeah, let's do that.
I think game of the year is a kind of it's a fun, like if you talk Keeley show, I love Keeley show. It's fun to stream. It's fun to talk about.
It's all
but
just for fun.
The idea of subjective awards for creative work is goofy and stupid and dumb. But it's fun.
I agree.
So, and it gets even worse when you take into account that most of the people nominating and then voting haven't even played every game in just the category. I understand how you could say, I can't play everything in every category, but if you're going to step up and vote for action adventure in the Game Awards or DICE or GDC, and you've only played 1.5 of the 5 or 6 games, it's like you really should say, you know what, I'm not qualified to vote. Right. So it's all silly and stupid. So I think really it comes down to going who, one of the reasons Roger Ebert was so successful is he was able to sort of have an opinion that a lot of people shared. So it's either going, you make your own opinion or it's like, hey, you know what? This guy, I don't fucking know, Skill Up. A lot of people like the Skill Up channel. They really seem to vibe with my take on games. And so their game of the year may matter, or the individual reviewers may matter. But the idea of like game of the year in general, I think is just kind of, it's a fun thing if you don't take it serious.
Yeah.
But I think if you really kind of like, how can you do DLC? It's like, shit.
I really hate when people talk about games that they haven't played and experienced, that I watched the videos online and I got this kind of vibe from it. And it's like, well, these are games are kind of meant to be experienced as a game, not watched as a YouTube video or whatever.
Right. That's true too. That's true. I mean, that's one of the biggest problems selling games is that there are some great fucking games out there and there are some games that are just okay, but you can cut a trailer for a game that just looks like a movie and people lose their shit. But then you can show people a trailer for a game like Balatro and people are like, how the fuck is that game of the year? And it's like, what I've really enjoyed is seeing people go, like I saw a tweet where a guy's like, my friend actually saw me bitching about it online. Like there's no way this is game of the year. And he bought a copy and he sent me a copy and I'm playing it. And after 2 hours, I came back to Twitter and said, okay, I'm a fucking idiot. This thing is amazing.
It's a game. I mean,
but it's hard.
It is.
But I get that is a hard thing to sell in our visual culture. I'll tell you what, when we talk about indie when it comes out, I'm very excited for it. I'll be getting it 3 or 4 days early.
I really think it's a perfect Game Pass game because I really don't know how much fun it's going to be sneaking up on a guy and hitting him with a shovel or a frying pan and then doing.
I don't know. Yeah, I have a lot to. Let's put it this way: I have a lot to say about it, but I don't have a lot to.
Good,
I don't have a lot of time right now, but let's talk about it on the next show. Yeah. All right, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you hanging out. All right, fellas, there you go. There you go. That has been the show for tonight. Let me give you the lay of the land. I might be streaming games this weekend. Monday, we're back to the normal thing. So Monday morning is either going to be a Jaffe stream or a prep show. And then Monday afternoon will be a proper Gavin and Games. We are going to be doing a lunch with Jaffe next week, probably Thursday for Cult of Calypso members and higher, but I will let you know soon on the Discord. But look, what a fun show. I had a good time. I hope you guys had a good time. Am I reacting to Asmongold or not? I mean, if people want me to watch his video, I sent him an email and I actually just got a text saying maybe we can set it up so you can talk to him. I'm absolutely happy to respond and stuff to him. I think he's I don't agree with him with his video that he made about my video, but it seemed like he's a semi-reasonable guy when I watched his video. So we'll see. But no, I mean, if people want me to watch and react, I will. Absolutely. Okay. Bukaki, thank you. I'm on this stream deck, so I don't know who's the mod. Bukaki's always modding. So if there's a mod I missed, I'm sorry. But regardless, though, thank you, Bukaki. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, the super chats, the new members, even the people that disagree with me. Seriously, I want you to hear this. Again, some of you guys are fucking idiots and you're trolling. That's fine. But if you're really out there and you're mad at people that disagree with you, all I can tell you, Mr. K's here. All right. Thank you, Mr. K. All I can tell you is I really don't hate you. I might think you're stupid and you might think I'm stupid, but please don't ever forget that there are vested interests. There is vested interest by the powers that be in making you hate me and me hate you. And those are the ones that we really have to get together and at least agree on that they're fuckers and we need to find a way to bring them down because it's the 0.1%. They have the money, they have the power, they have the education system. And they make money when they keep us stupid and when they keep us fighting. Calling people fucking idiots, then don't say I hate you. There are people who are fucking idiots, but they're people. And I don't hate you because you're a fucking idiot. And I don't really think you're a fucking idiot. And again, I get there are people out there with social cue deficiencies where they're like, but he literally called me a fucking idiot. I did literally call you a fucking idiot. I did. But I don't really think you're a fucking idiot. It's theater, man. Here's what I really think you are. You're a human on the planet in a culture that doesn't give a fuck about you other than a very small group of people. And we would all be better off if we looked out for each other. But I get it that shit's hard and you need some entertainment. And hopefully I gave you a little bit of that tonight. All right. Be well, be safe. And I hope you're having a good Thanksgiving weekend. Sorry, I just I had a stroke. All right. See you guys. Bye, everyone.